Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
This one's special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Look, it's not game day, but it's the day before. For us, it's our game day because this is the last TexAgs Live before the game that we've been talking about, unfortunately, for too long, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's been a lot of attention on this rivalry in this game, but all the right attention now because the most important game that I've been to since I've been at TexAgs.
The most
Football. Most important football game. Baseball, obviously.
You've been in here about, what, 4 years now?
This is my fourth football season.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
The most important game. The most meaningful.
Arguably the most meaningful, important game in the history of the Texas A&M series.
Yep.
Arguably.
Depending on what happens after, right?
Well, I mean, there's a chance to get into the SEC championship game, which gives you a chance to get into the national champion. The playoff, which gives you a chance to win a national championship. So
next, if A&M were to win this weekend, the next weekend would be the most meaningful game in Texas A&M football history. So you're talking about 2 weekends potentially. You got to take care of business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we were talking before the show. This goes against everything in my DNA. I don't know if optimistic is the right word. I feel good. Okay. And the reason I say it goes against my DNA is because the brand of football that I've seen for the most part the last month in SEC play has not been championship caliber football for 4 quarters.
Oh, it hasn't been.
Right?
I mean, you've had moments.
Moments, but you haven't had sustained moments or sustained periods. It's been a half, a quarter, and
I think you had 1 quarter of championship caliber football from A&M against South Carolina.
Yeah.
And I think you had about 2.5 quarters against Auburn.
Yeah. And against LSU, you had a half.
And a half.
Yeah.
Right.
And look, you're not going to always have championship caliber football, but they need to be closer to the second quarter team against South Carolina. They need to be closer to the second half of LSU. And by the way, that second half of LSU was so magical because, and I've used this comparison before, Marcel Reed was Bo Jackson Tecmo Bowl. He was unstoppable. I mean, one of the most brilliant performances we've seen. They had no clue what to do. But I'm talking about overall. It can't just be one player.
Yeah, because the big thing about, along with Marcel against LSU in that second half, was your defense provided a lot of pressure on Garrett Nussmeier, and he wilted under that pressure.
Yeah.
Well, since then, your defense hasn't consistently got pressure. In fact, it looked like a shell of itself. But they're at home.
Yeah.
And they tend to play better at home. So that's a good reason right there to feel, what'd you say, reasonably optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good. I mean, I love this team. I like everything about their DNA. I just want to see them do it for an extended period of time.
No, they need to play a full game.
So last night at Thanksgiving dinner, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Had my mom, my dad's in the hospital, my mom, my brother, his wife, his kids, my mother-in-law, and Elizabeth's brother who went to Texas. Not an annoying Texas fan. He's
right.
But he did bring up, because the propaganda that everybody's fed, or whatever program you watch, I thought you told me that the SEC was like this gauntlet. You can't talk about the schedule being, and I go, Matthew, and I love Matthew, and if he's watching, he's not. I hope somebody clips this and says, I love you, Matthew. But what I told him is the thing that we've talked about. Two things can be true. Texas can be a very good football team that I don't believe has been really tested for multiple reasons. No night games in the SEC, backup quarterbacks, third-string quarterbacks. That does not mean, look, I would love to have had that schedule. I would have loved it.
Yeah.
And A&M had a favorable-ish schedule.
Look, we all know Texas got all the breaks from scheduling that you could ask for. Even the one really tough opponent that they got this year, they drew Georgia, they got them at home. I don't think it's a coincidence that it happened that way. I think that Texas benefits from their first year. There's no divisions.
Yeah,
right.
And people forget that is such a big deal, having to face an Alabama, an Auburn, and an LSU, and by the way, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Sometimes Arkansas this year, not so much.
Sometimes Mississippi State.
Sometimes Mississippi State this year, not so much. But okay, look, fine. Go ahead and dismiss it the way Texas will. If not this year, the reality's coming. But
they can still be a good football team.
They are a good football team. Nobody's saying they're not.
Yeah, they got talent. So for A&M, it's not like I think this team is terrible. This is Cincinnati was a good football team when they went to the college football playoffs. I don't think this is Cincinnati, though, that is only there only because of their schedule. Indiana this year, if they make it, they probably will, partially because they're a good football team. Are they one of the 12 best teams in the country?
Maybe not. If they are, it's closer to 12 than 1.
Right. And I think Texas, with a harder schedule, would probably still be in the 12-ish mix.
I do too, but I think they'd probably have another loss or two. I mean, they could have lost. They came close to losing to Vanderbilt. That may be the only other game that they've been close to losing. But quite frankly, the only two games against Power 4 opponents that they didn't face with a quarterback who was not at his best or just not very good. And even if you want to say a quarterback at his best, I'll give them 3. Georgia, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas. They lost to Georgia bad. They barely got by Vanderbilt. And the Arkansas game was competitive, very competitive.
And Taylor Green wasn't 100% of that game.
And he wasn't. Yeah. But okay.
But let's make this now, because, I mean, that's a Texas perspective. Let's make this about A&M, because A&M, it doesn't matter. You didn't play well against a bad Auburn team. You didn't play well against a good South Carolina team. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. This is your one-game playoff to extend your season. Yeah.
Play well again. You need to play like you played in the second half against LSU or almost the whole game against Missouri, right?
Yeah.
That needs to be who you are. Your defense has to show up again. Coaches have to do a better job at designing your defense and your offense. I'll say this. I think that, in my mind, at the very worst, Marcel Reed is the third best quarterback they've faced so far this year.
Yep.
I would take Marcel over Taylor Green. And so, again, the best one you face is probably Carson Beck. You lost. The next best one you probably is Pavia, and you almost lost. So let's see how it's going to go against Marcel and A&M. I'll say this. I think being on the road in the SEC at home is a real being on the road in the SEC at night, I think, is a real
It's a real thing. Yeah, it's a real thing.
And Texas has to prove that they can win, that they can handle that kind of atmosphere. Maybe they will.
And A&M has to prove that they can play it for 4 quarters.
A&M has to prove that. Right now, they got to prove that they can play defense again, that they can get to the quarterback. That guys like Nick Scorton, who were hailed as potential All-American. I think he was a preseason All-American, and it may not be because of Nick that he hasn't been productive. It may be because of the way Bateman's calling defenses and things like that. So whatever it is, they got to get it worked out tomorrow night.
You know what we need to see from A&M is when everybody, and I don't think everybody in our fan base, but just we need to see what A&M basketball did in their bounce back.
Yeah.
Okay, because you lose to Oregon in a predictable fashion.
When you had a 10-point lead and then went cold.
And then you beat a team
a better team than Oregon.
a better team than I would have thought of. I think a better team initially than A&M.
Creighton? Well,
at least ranking-wise.
Ranking-wise, absolutely. And they went out and controlled that game, I would say.
Yeah, so props to them for that.
Outstanding. Yeah, outstanding job.
Hey, Buzz, I know we were critical of the offense, but one thing that I've always given you credit, or in the program credit, is they are very good at self-diagnosing a problem, fixing it. I'd like to see it from the beginning to the end of the season, but they're very good at adjusting.
Well, that's a win that I think is going to be a major feather in your cap, because I anticipate Creighton to have a really good year. So again, when those committees are looking at things, that's going to be high up. Boost your. I can't even think of what the word is now, or the
RPI.
Acronym, RPI.
Yeah. All right, 3 things we want to see. This is brought to you by the Brazos Running Company. We're running our mouths. Brazos Running Company is your local Aggie-owned specialty running store where you can find Brooks on Hoka shoes located at Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill. Obi-Wan Kenobi, what do you need to see?
Yeah, first of all, I need to see a fast start.
Yeah.
Or at least not a slow start. But, you can't be getting down for the 4th consecutive SEC game and look up and you got a 10-point deficit. Yeah. So you get that 10-point lead instead. Have a fast start. You got to work that out. I've got to see a clean game. It starts with you, Marcel. Marcel doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, but he's thrown one in every game. No turnovers. Be clean. Have a clean football game. Don't give Texas any chances, any help. And then number 3, I've got to see that defense return to the form that we saw earlier and that we expected to see. I don't know if it's I don't think it's an effort deal, but I don't know if it's a coaching deal with some bizarre ideas of the way you're going to try to rush the passer or play run defense. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a player deal because you're just having mental lapses, but whatever it is, you got to get it fixed. You got to get it fixed tomorrow night.
All right. My things are, I want to do an extension of what you just said there. I need to see that pass rush that we all talked about that I think we've seen in flashes this year. I need to see more than a flash. All right. Myles Garrett is flash. I get it. I want a Myles Garrett type of performance against the University of Texas and Quinn Ewers. And I'm going to put a dash because this is the 4th thing I want to see.
Okay.
All right. Even though I haven't got to the other, this one came to my head. All right. I want us to end narratives that don't go our way. All right. Like the narrative, Notre Dame's defensive or offensive line's got a bunch of kids. They've never played before. And then you don't get any sacks. Right. I want those to go away. Whatever that narrative is that, Texas hasn't played a night game and then, okay, well, they're about to find out. It needs to go our way, the narrative, okay? So that's one of them.
Okay.
I also want to see a balanced offensive attack because I do not believe you can beat Texas just running the ball.
Okay.
All right, so I need to see a balanced running attack, and that means 3 runners, all right? So I need to see Marcel run well. Mm-hmm. I need to see Amari run well.
And Ruben!
I didn't say Ruben.
Oh, Terry!
A third.
EJ.
A third. Okay?
Yeah.
A third.
Third.
Right? Maybe it's Ruben.
Maybe it's Terry.
Maybe it's
EJ.
Maybe. Okay?
Whoever.
Okay? And the last thing I need to see, even though I gave you 4 already, or 3, the 12th man do your thing. All right?
Oh, I know I'm going to see that.
We know it, but I need it to be even better.
I don't want to see it. I want to hear it.
Yeah. I want the press box to shake because sometimes we don't get to feel the full pipe it in. By the way, they think that we're piping in sound for the game. Did you see that little Twitter narrative because there's speakers on the field? They don't understand the Aggie band. We do that so people can hear the Aggie band. It's not about piping in sound.
Didn't Nussmeier say something about it? It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
They end up having some trouble with it. Yeah. Look, there's a lot of things that I'm going to be questioning. Can A&M play a clean game? Will they get off to a fast start? Will the defense play to its former self? Will you get the pass rush? I can question those things and worry about it. I don't worry about the noise level, the decibel level at Kyle Field. I know the A&M fans
they're going to take care of business. Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we do this? We were supposed to do matchups, but we've gone long because there's a lot to talk about today. Today is a great day, so we're going to keep it going. This is they don't know, 15 minutes exactly without saying the name of the show.
TexAgs Live.
Yeah. And here's the part that one poster who thinks we have a lot of sponsors will tune out for a few seconds, but I hope you tune in. It's brought to you by
David Gardner Jewelers
in the
Rollo Insurance Studios.
Yep. And this hour is called?
It's the Go Hour, brought to you by CC Creations, and we appreciate you, CC.
Yeah, we do. I love CC. What a dude. And by the way, this area, this little, it's a box, circle, square thing.
It's the cool zone.
And that's brought to you by Holistic Planning.
Holistic Planning.
Yeah, investment, tax, estate, and
investment into pro sports.
If you want to invest in a pro sports, God, well, this is like we've worked together for a few years.
Seems like it.
Yeah, investinprosports.com. Want to be a part of the conversation? Call us up. You can actually call the show. We might answer. 979-693-1150. That's the Boss Firearms Hotline.
But don't talk about your ladders.
No. And if you want to fight us on Twitter, we got each other's back,
That's
bros.
Right. We're a tag team.
Little Sluggers text line if you want to say something rude to OB. Don't say something rude to me. All right, we go behind the glass. We say hi to Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
Hey, buddy.
One thing I want to see is and I know we're going to see it, this isn't even a question, is a freaking raucous environment at Kyle Field. This is the most excited for a game in many, many years for obvious reasons. So I'm just excited to see what levels Kyle Field is going to reach and what exactly that's going to do to, a Longhorn team who probably hasn't seen anything like that this year. So, again, just super excited and super excited for today's show. It's our biggest show of the year, man. Come on.
Biggest show of the year. But also, for that to be the case, Nick, because I think it will be the case.
It will be.
They can't, what you said, can't have a slow start. Cannot.
Right.
Slow start will quiet that crowd.
Because there's a fast start, then it's only going to ramp up. And look, the crowd, I don't think, will be the reason Texas wins or loses, right? But the crowd, as we saw again, because A&M is going to have to make plays.
Yep.
But the crowd can certainly be a factor because we started seeing LSU with some false starts and things like that and putting them behind the chains. Yep. So crowd, do your thing, be a factor, and then A&M players are going to have to raise their level of performance.
I've been at the office for I don't know how long, and not one person has commented on my awesome shirt. I'm a little disappointed.
That is pretty awesome. Yeah, I got one like that.
You got one too? Yeah. It's my Snaps A&M shirt.
Yeah.
Snaps takes care of it. Look at this. This is stylish.
I wanted to iron mine before I wore it.
Yeah, I didn't want to iron it. I just wanted to wear it. That's how I roll. Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's a good-looking shirt.
Thank you.
It is a good-looking shirt.
Pretty good shirt. Let's go.
What do you think, McKinley?
I like it a lot. I was going to say something.
See, I should have waited.
Yeah.
Snaps.com. Snaps Clothing. They're my peoples. There's another one for you guys. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. McKinley Polanski.
Hi. How are y'all?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
I'm fat after yesterday, but fat all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
I love our awkward exchanges with McKinley. He's
Every time.
You don't know how to respond. Like, all right, he just called himself fat. That's what you say. No, OB, you're not fat.
No, you're not fat.
No, you should say, yes, you are fat. Now let's get back to the
PHAT.
Okay. Like they're talking about, the number 20 Texas A&M men's basketball team defeated the number 21 Creighton Blue Jays 77-73 on Wednesday to give sixth-year head coach Buzz Williams his 100th victory in Aggieland.
Congratulations, Buzz.
Congratulations.
He deserves the accolades. It's a fun team to watch when they're not going through a cold streak, and they can play some D, they can get some rebounds, and they do play hard for him.
No, they do that.
Always have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then some other Aggie sports this weekend are volleyball is traveling to Carolina Volleyball Center to take on South Carolina on Saturday at 12 p.m. And men's basketball is traveling to MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada to take on the Rutgers at 2:30 p.m.
The Rutgers. You know what the Rutgers are? Yeah, I'm going to put you on a spot like that. You know what Rutgers is, right?
Tell the people.
They're the Scarlet Knights.
Oh.
The Scarlet Knights of Rutgers in Piscataway, New Jersey. I've actually been there.
They're pretty good, right?
Yeah, they're. I don't know if they're ranked or anything. I couldn't tell you the record, but they typically have.
Did they beat San Diego State? Is that why A&M's playing Rutgers?
I have to admit,
you don't know.
I haven't been watching. I've only been paying attention to the A&M.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Polanski?
It was not that busy of a week for Aggie sports, but I have women's basketball. They won 79-57 over Southern Miss on Monday.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. It's a while ago.
Take all the wins and celebrate them when we can.
Yeah. All right. We'll hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Live, we're going to do Pick 6. And then after that, you're smiling. I like smiles. I like smiling OB.
Why wouldn't anybody smile?
It's
a good day.
Can I tell you the truth?
Yeah,
I'm such a dork, and people are going to talk about it. I did listen to Eminem on my way here. Lose Yourself, because I wanted to be like in a zone to get to the show. Like I was like, and I'm like, oh wait, the game's tomorrow. Like I'm acting like the game's today. Gladiator 2 here on TexAgs Live.
I saw that last night.
How was it?
I thought that was great.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I gotta see it. All right. Let's do a little prize picks. Prizepicks.com. No reason for the accent. Prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs. $50 once you play in $5 lineups. So Matthew Dawson was telling me when I was in the middle of something, so I didn't get all the information. I was acting like I was listening, but I only listened to half what he said. But I believe he said most of the picks you can do on Prize Picks for this week in college football are from the A&M and Texas game.
Yeah.
So Marcel Reed, 179.5 passing yards, more than or less than?
I think more than.
Okay, Marcel Reed, 34.5 rushing yards, more than or less than?
I'm going to take more than.
Me too. Okay, Amari Daniels, 60.5 rushing yards, more than or less than?
I'm going to take more than.
Yes, my brother.
I think they're going to move the ball.
All right, Trey Watson, 18.5 receiving yards, more than or less than? Come on, more. Come on, do it.
Okay, since you want
do it.
More
That's
than.
one big catch for him. He's good for one.
Yeah.
Okay, Quinn Ewers, 237.5 passing yards, more than or less than?
Probably more than.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah,
I hope
probably.
Not. Anyway.
Look, they're good too.
Yeah. Black Friday flash discounts today. There you go. So it's prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Pick 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll. Remember,
My son won $90 yesterday.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did.
Fist pound. Longest Prize
I
Pick
won't see
spot
any of it.
of all time. We'll be back. Welcome back into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. It is the Go Hour, presented by, I just said that. I was just thinking, because I wanted to bring up something to you, because we're about to go.
Bring it up.
We need to do the prize picks and go through our games, but wars on Twitter.
It wasn't a war.
I know. I didn't like him putting it on social.
Well, yeah. Do we want to get into that?
No, not really. I just wanted to say that we as a company, we got everybody's back.
You do, thank you. And I actually, before I fired back, I don't know if anybody saw my tweet at a blogger from Auburn. And you'd have to know the backstory. We're not going to go into that. But I did contact Liucci and said, hey,
this is what I did.
I explained this. No, I explained the whole situation. Said, this is what I want to tweet. And he said, no, wait. Tweet this. So Liucci was completely on board.
No. And by the way, this time of year, everybody's going to talk a little smack. At the end of the day, it's all in college football love. Although,
mine wasn't.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Never mind. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. McKinley, Polanski, we got games.
A lot of games. Big games.
Big game.
What's your favorite game?
A&M, obviously.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Let's just whisper.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Michigan is traveling to number 2 Ohio State. They're playing at 11 a.m. at Ohio Stadium. It will be on Fox, and Ohio State is favored by 20 and a half points.
20 and a half in a rivalry game, even against a bad Michigan? 20 and a half? What are you going to do on that?
I'm taking Ohio State. Taking Ohio State.
I had a terrible week last week.
I've had a terrible
So
year.
I need to take the layups.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's a layup. I'll go with Ohio State.
Yeah. America.
28-7 Ohio State.
Number 15 South Carolina is traveling to number.
And they're trying too. They are trying. Trying times these days.
I'm going across the state.
To number 12 Clemson. They're playing at Memorial Stadium at 11 a.m. It will be on ESPN, and Clemson is favored by 2.5 points.
You know what a try is in rugby?
No, I don't watch rugby.
Neither do I.
Well, I did watch
do.
it in the Olympics.
I watch A&M rugby.
An attempt.
There you go. OB, what do you think about this one?
Can you ever forget that the game's at Memorial Stadium?
I don't think you can forget that. It's too memorable.
Yeah. I'm going to take the South Carolina Gamecocks. I think they're playing good football right now.
Yeah, I do too. That's what my heart tells me. Clemson at home played nobody this year, but 2.5.
I mean, it's a field goal.
Yeah, I'm gonna take South Carolina.
Yeah. So we're agreeing so far.
2 for 2.
2 for 2. Number 5, Notre Dame is traveling to USC. They're playing at 2:30 p.m. at United Airlines Field at the LA Memorial Coliseum.
So they're playing the Coliseum.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. On CBS, and Notre Dame is favored by 7.5 points.
Apparently, USC is playing better football.
I'm going to take the Irish. I'm sorry. I think I'm going to take the Trojans in that one.
Huh.
I think I'm going to go with the Trojans.
You're going with the Trojans.
Give me some Trojans.
All
in
right.
that one.
I'm going to go with...
You going with the Irish?
I'm going with the Irish.
Yeah. See, that's the smart one. I should be going with the Irish, but...
But if you go the smart one, maybe you don't win because everybody goes smart, right? Like you're trying to win this thing. You've got a chance.
I don't even know what the
zero
standings
chance.
are, but I'm pretty sure I have no chance. I know I had a miserable week last week.
OB, you're 38-40, only 2 games behind first place.
But I was over 500 until yesterday.
Yeah. And
I'll go with the Trojans.
All right.
I shouldn't, but you know what? My hatred of Notre Dame is clouding my judgment.
Go with the Trojans, bro. All right, let's do it.
Auburn is traveling to number 13 Alabama. They're playing at Bryant-Denny Stadium at 2:30 p.m. It will be on ABC, and Alabama is favored by 11.5 points.
I'm taking Alabama. I'm taking
the points.
I'm taking Alabama.
How many times did that game come down to the last minute? You know, and worse Auburn teams. And Auburn has a bad record. Look, I'm not going to bump up Auburn because they beat A&M, but if you look at it, I think they've had one game where they got beat bad, and that was Georgia.
Yeah.
And they seem to be playing better. And, Alabama had a key. I can't think of the kid's name now. He's linebacker. And he got hurt, I think, before the Oklahoma game. And maybe that defense isn't what it supposed to be without him.
Yeah, I'm taking Alabama.
Alabama wins, but I think Auburn's going to be able to stay within 10.
I think because Auburn beat A&M last week, we can't have nice things. Auburn gets destroyed.
Auburn loses, but I think they stay within 11.5.
Polanski.
Number 24, Kansas State is traveling to number 18, Iowa State. They're playing at 6:30 p.m. at Jack Trice Stadium on Fox. Iowa State is favored by 2.5
Iowa
points.
State's favored. Huh. You know what? One of the guys that at my house yesterday, Doug Beck, great friend, works sometime in the engineering department at A&M, real smart guy, went to Iowa State. He's a big Iowa State fan. So I'm going to roll with the Cyclones. That's all I need to know is my friend Doug Beck. I'm with you, Doug.
Douglas. Does he go by Doug?
I think, yeah, he goes by Doug.
I'm going to call him Douglas. K-State's lost 2 straight.
Have they?
I think so.
I got to admit, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the big 12.
Or pretty close to that. I'm taking K-State in this one.
Man, we got 3 different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suck at this game.
Yeah, but you're going to pass me up this week.
Oh, that's the goal. But it's not going to happen.
And the biggest game. Number 3, Texas is traveling to number 20, Texas A&M. They're playing at 6:30 p.m. at Kyle Field on ABC, and Texas is favored by 5.5 points.
I'll take the points. Give me some points. I'll take the points.
I'm taking A&M.
Outright, huh?
Yeah, I'm just taking it. Look, I have no chance of winning this game, so I'm allowed to go with my heart and my gut, all right? And my heart and my gut says this is a place on this show. Back in 2021, we have the tape. I said A&M was going to beat Alabama after they had lost those 2 games in a row.
And you were correct.
And I was correct. I believe I picked A&M to beat LSU a couple years ago as well. There's something magical about this place when our backs are against the wall. And I say us, Aggies everywhere, because we're all playing in this game in a different way. Like, this is emotional scar tissue that is going to stay with us either way. A&M, the 12th man, they come and they beat that Texas backside.
I'm going to take the 5.5 points. I am. That's what I'm going to do.
What are you going to do?
I pick the Aggies always.
Always? No matter what?
Always, no matter
There's
what.
never a situation where you don't pick the Aggies?
No.
When your money's up? If you have to put money down.
If you had to put
My
all your
money's on the line. But I think we're going to win.
Okay.
I think.
I like the way you think.
Yeah.
I think taking the 5.5 points is a really good play here.
Taking the Aggies,
All right.
baby. All right, we'll hit a break here. I believe I already see him in the, what do they call it? The bullpen. I see good old Coach Alan Weddell. You know he played at a certain school.
Yeah, he played at Texas.
You know he coached at a certain school.
He coached at Texas A&M.
You know he's a good guy, right?
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. He used to come on our show, when it was me and Gabe all the time.
He's the best. Right now, we'll hit a break. We'll do that. We should probably take on the 1775 sometime, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Maybe, if you, like we've talked before, if you want to build bridges, or if you just want to celebrate friendships, or if you just want to have a really good meal, if you want to reward somebody, Polanski didn't call me fat. If you wanted to say, hey, thanks, let's go out, 1775.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with 1775.
And I don't
that may be my weight right now, but 1775, you can't go wrong.
Take away the 1. Come on, bro.
I'm going to be on the show with that doctor in Houston.
No Ozempic, right, OB? Open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold
It'll be
out.
worth it.
82. No, it's not worth it.
Well, that queso mac and cheese?
Oh, no, that is worth it. Yeah,
worth
I thought you were talking about Ozempic.
No, I'm saying the queso mac and cheese is worth it.
Good old-fashioned running is worth it, so you can have more queso mac and cheese.
The pork ribs that I like so much.
Those are good.
That brisket.
979-492-6241, 1775, txbbq.com. We're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. We've got Coach Alan Weddell with us. How are you, sir?
Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas.
Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas. I like the way you dressed today.
Well, it's kind of fallish.
Fallish in football.
Football weather.
Is this what are your emotions about this game? Because I mean, you're invested in both programs, right?
This is.
You hate yourself this week?
Oh, no.
You win either way?
I'm doubly happy. Let's put it that way.
There you go.
Things have changed in the city of Austin since I left it. Let's put it that way.
I understand that.
The football's still good, but the city's still different. No, I'm a football fan. I'm looking for a great football game. I want kids to make plays and have fun and get the excitement of the crowd and all that kind of stuff. Big rivals are big rivalries. These things to talk about. You circle it on your calendar, but you better be circling Auburn and the other ones also, obviously, because they all count the same. But no, I'm excited about the game coming back. I can remember as a 8-year-old kid, my cousin was a quarterback at Texas back in the early 60s. Wow. And so that was we used to go to the game and see the team after the game and all that kind of stuff. So those guys are kind of old now, are gone, but the spirit's still there. And we used to go to A&M games always because my dad was a chemistry TA at A&M.
Oh,
so I was kind of split both ways.
I know you can't possibly answer this question, so I'm just asking for an opinion.
Okay.
Do you think this game means as much to the players in terms of the rivalry as it would have to like you and guys that were playing before there was a 12-year interruption in this series?
No, I don't, and I'll tell you why. Because now football is so national. We were, quote, Southwest Conference. Everything was the state of Texas. Throw in Arkansas back there. Mm-hmm. But now, I mean, USC, they used to go all over the country. In the Southeast Conference, you're spread out so much. There's so many of those rivalries, I think. You didn't grow up. You grew up and everybody's a Longhorn fan, an Aggie fan, or somebody else, Texas Tech, something like that. But there wasn't all the Alabama hoopla and the Roll Tide and all that kind of stuff all over the place.
Yeah. Talking to Coach Weddell here in studio. So, what does Texas do well that should? Texas does a lot well, but what does Texas do well that should concern A&M?
I don't think they have any major weaknesses to exploit. I think that's the biggest thing right there. Mm-hmm. I remember when they played Georgia, they were talking about that's the best offensive line in the nation, type stuff. Their defense has definitely been dominating at times. They've got a quarterback that was a Heisman candidate early in the season. They've got some injuries at running backs, and they just keep putting them in there and type stuff. Receivers are good. Defensively, secondary, like anybody else, sometimes gives some problems, but there's no weaknesses on that.
They got 17 interceptions, though.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah. They're just they're number 3 in the nation for a reason. They got beat by a pretty good football team the one time they got beat on a bad night.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they've been tested as such, but they're a solid football team. They've done a good job.
So what does A&M have to do to be able to, just to be able to win? I don't even want to call it that big of an upset because I don't know. I know that Texas is favored, but who are these Aggies, by the way?
That's it. The real team has to show up. The team that beat LSU, the team that dominated against Missouri, which is a really good football team. They got to show up today and play. And I don't know what the answer to that is. They should be ready. I mean, the one thing about big rivalry games, especially this one, and we still have a lot of kids from Texas, although we nationally recruit, is that preparation has been very well. I mean, it's just got to be. Everything's been in focus and that kind of stuff. Maybe we're looking ahead, sandwich game last week, type stuff. Who knows? Let's give Auburn some credit. They're Southeast Conference also.
Do you buy into the fact that Texas really hasn't been challenged this year, though? I mean, they were challenged by Georgia, obviously, but the rest of their schedule, when you look at the teams they played, when you look at the situations that those teams had, does that play a role in taking on a team that isn't at full strength either? Who is at this point of the season?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the Southeast Conference has been a circular firing squad as far as the playoffs and the season goes, but they've been tested a lot because they're in the Southeast Conference, let's put it that way. But they haven't played the Ohio State. The Georgia was a disaster. So yes, the talented team, we should be, except for possibly Georgia, the most talented team they've faced all year. And if we go out and play like that team, then they're going to have their hands full. They're going to have to make plays.
Do you buy into the notion that Texas will be at a disadvantage, number one, because they're on the road?
Right.
But this is really the first hostile crowd that they're going to be in front of because they played Michigan at 11
Mm-hmm.
a.m. They played Oklahoma at 11 a.m. in a neutral
Mm-hmm.
site. They played Vanderbilt at 2:30, which is not a hostile environment typically. Does it really make a difference that this game is a night game on the road?
I think it does. I mean, if there's an advantage of being at home, if there's a disadvantage of going on the road, then this game would have all those aspects for them. There's no doubt. Because remember, the Big 12 played a lot of morning games type stuff. So that program is not used to a situation like this.
But
and
you
how those
played
kids,
in them and you've coached in them.
Yes.
Do they really make a difference?
They make a difference at the start, but it's like every other game. Once you get hit in the mouth and ready to play, I'm not sure how much that
It
does.
becomes white noise?
Yes, I think it helps. I know it makes noise and people break that. I think it helps the home team probably more. I think it have a positive effect on the Aggies more than it have a negative effect on Texas.
And I do think it's legit that the noise can affect your other team's offense
Yes.
because sometimes you can't hear and you get the false starts and things like that.
Let me ask this question on the YouTube page. This is for Olin, but I want both of you to answer this before we hit a break. Olin, what leads you to believe the Ags will have a fast start? Haven't seen anything resembling that since Mizzou.
I didn't say they would. I'm saying they need to.
They need to.
But if they did, here would be my answer because I've seen it before, and I think it's been underlined and stressed to them all week, and it probably was last week too. The need to get off to a fast start, or at least don't get into a significant hole. So because I've seen it before, I think they can, but I would be lying if I said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to understanding." I think the Aggies are going to get out to a 10-0 lead.
Right.
Yeah, I think they need to because you can't get down to Texas 21-0.
Right.
They'll pin their ears back and put pressure on you, and make you one-dimensional with pressure. So I think they have to. But they need in this game. They need to have a fast start, a great finish, and good play in between.
Just play all 4 quarters, right?
Yes, all 4 quarters. And Texas the same way though.
Yeah.
I mean Texas. Whoever gets somebody down, they got to keep them down. And somebody's going to play because you have a bad quarter, you won't recover. I know Texas, I saw the Kentucky game last week. They started out good, looked good, then kind of dip. They do that against A&M, they'll get beat tomorrow.
All right, let's hit a break. When we come back, we're going to have Around Aggieland, but I want you to participate and bank on it. I want you to bank on something on the show,
Okay.
all right? Find something to bank on. Right now, we're talking Duck Camp. Awesome clothing. If you haven't checked out the gear at Duck Camp, go to duckcamp.com. That's where you can find all their comfortable clothing. If you want to go hunting, if you want to go fishing, camping, you want to just go to the gym and look in style, but also be comfortable, check out the gear at Duck Camp. They have been tested in the backcountry of Alaska to the Duff Fields of Texas, ready to keep you cool and comfortable for those awesome game days here at Kyle Field. They're made for people that live for the moments out there where there's fish to catch, birds to hunt, a time to kill, football to watch. It's Duck Camp, duckcamp.com. And we are back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. David Nuño, Olin Buchanan, Coach Alan Weddell. I think OB hates when I do the walk-in mid-segment.
No, that was kind of.
I don't hate it.
That was impressive. I was. Well, are we? What are we?
We're live.
Which one camera are we looking at today?
We are live. So we got to do a little business before we get to Kay Naegeli. So let's do a little bank on it. Brought to you by Vera Bank, relationship-based banking for real life. Go check out Vera Bank at verabank.com. All right, let's get into it. What are you banking on?
Maybe I'm being just wishful thinking here, but I am banking on that Texas A&M defense and pass rush getting back to what we have seen them be before.
Yep.
So I'm banking on that A&M defense getting back to the form. Up until the South Carolina game, no team has scored more than 24 points against A&M. I think you're going to see that defense. I'm banking on it.
What are you banking on, Coach Weddell?
I'm banking on the coaching staff. They will have this team ready to play.
Give me that. I like that. I like that, sir.
They will have this team ready to play for 4 quarters, and it's going to be a lively sideline the entire game. The fans will keep the juice flowing. But the coaching staff, I think they were embarrassed last week as much as the players were, and the product they put on the field. And I'm going to go with Mike Elko and the staff to have a great plan and great execution and find a way to win.
I'm banking on Amari Daniels, the bounce back. He was good last week. He had the one play he wishes he could have back. He's going to have a play that we all remember. Amari Daniels is who I'm banking on. All right, it's now time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid bank, and the website is normandystatebank.com. And with that, we have Kay Naegeli.
That was an extra long one today. You're feeling excited.
Well,
what?
I don't know the joke.
People are laughing in the back. It's a Friday before a big game. We're all excited.
Here's the truth. I haven't had coffee in 3 days, and this morning I had a half a cup.
Uh-oh.
So I like.
Is it hitting like?
No, not anymore. But there was but I'm still. I'm good. I'm in a good place.
Okay, that's
it's
good.
the biggest game of the decade.
You said it. Let's get into Around Aggieland because that's pretty much it for the football side. Texas A&M and Texas renew their rivalry on the gridiron tomorrow night. It should be an electric atmosphere, probably the best we've ever seen. Reminder, that is at 6:30 p.m. on ABC. I'm sure it'll start a little bit later than that, but we'll have all the coverage for you there. Men's basketball this past week has been in Las Vegas. They've gone 1-1 with a win over Creighton and a loss to Oregon in the Players Era Festival. They will stay in the Sin City. They will play Rutgers on Saturday afternoon at 2:30 p.m. That is on True TV, so make sure to turn that on at your tailgate while you're before you head to Kyle Field. On the women's basketball front, they had a tournament in the Bahamas. They have a little break away from the court. They will host Syracuse on December 4th at 6:15 at Reed Arena. That is next week. And then last but not least, on the volleyball front, Texas A&M currently sits at 18-7, 9-6 in the SEC. That's a really great record for Jamie Morrison and company with just one more regular season match to go. That is also on Saturday, South Carolina at noon. So hopefully a good weekend all around, and let's beat the hell out of Texas. And it's my birthday.
What?
It's
your
Tomorrow
birthday?
is my birthday, yes.
Well,
Great way to renew the rivalry.
Happy birthday.
How old are you?
I'll be 23.
I remember when
I
you
will
turned
be.
21. I think we've already done this
I
before.
feel like I turned 20 here too, so
Yeah.
I've been here a while.
Wow. Yeah. I can't believe we both of us in our 20s. It's great.
It's crazy.
All right. All right. Final thoughts before we hit the break. Coach Weddell.
Hey, it's the bottom of the ninth. This game means something. Winner plays for a championship. It's been a long time since A&M football's played for a championship. 25 years, I think, exactly. And so just to get there and get the experience and build the program, big steps in the first year. Without it, it's an 8-4 season, and here we go. So it's the bottom of the ninth, and all the marbles on the line, and let's go take it. It's ours for the taking.
Go get some marbles, man.
Here we go.
I'm gonna lose my marbles up in the stadium. All the players, all those fans, lose your marbles.
Lose those marbles.
Make it as difficult an environment on those Longhorns as possible.
We got to drop it here. Thank you, OB. Thank you, Coach Weddell. When we come back, SEC Mike, Billy Liucci, the McKinney brothers at the 10 o'clock hour. It is TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. This is great. So during the break, OB comes in here. We have a little chit chat, and I turn to McKinley and I go, "You will never work in a place like this again." And I think she took it as like, "Oh no, I will." Like, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like I meant this was a special place, and you're like, "Nah, I'll work wherever I want, Nuño."
That's not what I meant.
You're like, I don't care where they're giving jobs. I got it.
No.
Which I think you could get the job too, by the way.
Oh,
Right. Awkward again. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. I don't know if we're getting SEC mic or not, but I do know that we have the Association of Former Students having a big-time challenge before the Ags and the Longhorns step on the field tomorrow. Texas A&M and Texas are hosting a rivalry fundraising challenge, and the challenge is simple. Starting on the 21st and running through 11:59 p.m. Central Time on the 29th, the university that receives the most donations is going to win. Make a gift right now at tx.ag/rivalrygive to help A&M win this challenge. After you make the gift, spread the word to as many Aggies as you know. Donations for Texas A&M will go to the Association of Former Students to support scholarships, recognize student programs, financial aid, Aggie traditions, former student support, and much, much more. Again, go to tx.ag/rivalrygive to make a gift and help Texas A&M win this rivalry fundraising challenge. All right, Polanski, on the chats, there's been some comments. My guy Calvin on there has been commenting. You can go to a different one first, but we definitely got to get to Calvin here in a second.
We'll get to Calvin's next. Paul Smith said, "My question is, why is Ole Miss 8-3 and Bama 8-3 is okay?" Let me redo that. Paul Smith said, "My question is, why is Ole Miss 8-3 and Bama 8-3 is so much better in rankings than the Aggies? Explain that."
Because they were higher initially. That's why. Now, we can argue if they should have been higher or not. And I think they both have more impressive wins than A&M does. Ole Miss did beat Georgia, right? Alabama did beat Georgia. Those are both more impressive wins than A&M's best win this year. That'd be the why. I'd love to see A&M play Alabama. I'd love to see the A&M team that we saw before the road trips against those two schools and see how they play. That's why I'm intrigued to see, is it a road thing for A&M? Because it's been a road thing for years. Or is it A&M this is who they are right now, right? And I'm hoping it was, that it's just hard to win on the road, and they are a much better team at home. You can point back to the Notre Dame game, but I think this is a different team. Got a different quarterback, a different vibe to them. So that'd be my why behind it. Let's read the Calvin one.
All right. Calvin said, "Glad you feel good, Nuño. I don't. Nothing leads me to believe Ags will be anything they haven't been over the last 3 or 4 games. Horns lead 28-7 at the half on the way to 35-10 or 42-17 win."
So if that's how you really feel, that's how you really feel. Like, I can't argue with that. Like, I think we all have these bevy of emotions and thoughts of you can see this scenario and this scenario and this scenario, and like maybe 3 out of the 4. My brother, and I don't know if he's listening right now, I think he's hanging with my pops, but my brother tends to be a little bit more pessimistic. I tend to go with gut. So look, however you fan. If it makes you but I would rather not project that into the universe because I don't like feeling like crap. Like I don't. Look, Texas is a good football team, but I can give you reasons why A&M can win. Sure, you can give us reasons why A&M will blank the bed, right? I get all that. But I don't want to live that way. That doesn't mean that you can't have a real rational conversation. Look, I recognize your point. I see it. They have not played great football on the road the last month of the season. But what about if you look at the totality of the season, right? If we're just isolating it for the last 3 weeks, you could be like, yeah, I get it. Like, this is who you are right now. This is how you're playing. But I guess what I'll say is, if a season is broken up into 4 quarters, okay? A game is broken up, obviously, into 4 quarters. The team that showed up against LSU for the first half was not the same team that finished. The team that showed up against South Carolina in the second quarter was not the same team in the second half of the first quarter. The team that showed up in the second half of the Auburn game was not the same team that started that game. So if you're looking for hope, this 4-quarter season for Texas A&M, you can hope. Again, and hope is not a strategy, but I'm not coaching the team. You can hope that the team that we've seen at home for the most part this year shows up. You can hope that they remember how to tackle. You can hope that the mobility issues that Quinn Ewers might have can affect them. If we're talking about like realistic expectations, Vegas is picking Texas to win. There's a reason for that because A&M has played poorly on the road the last month. They are playing at home. That is not the determining factor in the game. But like early on Ole Miss, do you guys remember early on in Ole Miss where they were beating teams 70 to whatever and they hadn't played anybody, then SEC play started and they got punched in the mouth? That all plays a role in it. And Olin Buchanan is going to be out of breath when he comes back on the show. I don't know what happened to SEC Mike, but Olin's going to just pop in here. So we're talking about...
I'm the TexAgs version of E. King Gill. You know, I'm standing ready.
You're the 12th man, buddy.
Yeah.
OB, the comment from... Read Calvin's comment again, because I understand where he's going with it, but I just choose not to project that and think that way. Read the question or the comment.
Glad you feel good, Nuño. I don't. Nothing leads me to believe Ags will be anything they haven't been over the last 3 or 4 games. Horns lead 28-7 at the half, on the way to 35-10 or 42-17 win.
And I had a whole reply that you didn't hear, OB, but then Calvin responds with, appreciate your reply. It's called How Ags Are Trending. They haven't played well over their last 4 conference games, with the exception of a half against LSU with a QB the Tigers didn't prepare to play. Those are all true statements.
Okay.
But they did win that game.
They did win.
The defense did dominate LSU in the second half. A quarterback that was being heralded as the best in the SEC at that point.
Right. Yeah.
At that point, that was the conversation.
Yeah, they're talking about Heisman Trophy quarterback for. Look, I get it if you're somewhat pessimistic because of the way the Aggies have played. But I would say this: the 2 games that they were really bad, or I don't even know if they were really bad against Auburn. They got off to a really bad start and made some mistakes late. But we're on the road, and I do think A&M's a better team at home. And, you know, let's face it, there's a sense of urgency and the quote, like you mentioned earlier, back against the wall and all those things. But I can understand if you say, hey, I haven't seen it in a while. I don't even think they played that great against New Mexico State. But if you're going to say, I haven't seen it in a while, and therefore I have a hard time believing that they're going to get off to a fast start, okay, you know, that's legitimate. But to say, hey, I have seen it when they've had to have it at home, like they had to beat Missouri. You know, you're coming back home, and they played outstanding. You got in the second half after not playing well, and a big part of the reason you weren't playing well was the defense, but also the offense. You made a change, and it launched you. And you played well when you had to. So they have played well when they absolutely had to at home. And I think that's a legitimate take as well to say, I feel like they're going to get off to a fast start because they know they have to. And when they've had to respond at home, they have.
I would say the talent discrepancy between A&M and Texas and the level of team between A&M and Texas is smaller than Alabama, Oklahoma this past week.
You say
I would say A&M is closer to Texas, more comparable than.
I would agree with that.
Okay, and Oklahoma beat that.
Yeah,
They
dominated that game.
Florida with a special quarterback beat Ole Miss last week. I predicted them to win, but I lost every other game I picked. My point is, just because a team is trending or playing in a certain way does not determine an outcome of a game when game plans and the other things that you can't prepare for, the other elements you can't prepare for.
Well, that's true. I mean, you can be a completely different team from one week to the next.
We just saw it in basketball, by the way.
Yeah, from one game to the next, from one half to the next.
100%.
We saw A&M go from inept in the first 17 minutes against Auburn to almost dominant for the next 2.5 quarters, and had a chance to put the game away. And then there was a fumble, there was a drop pass, there was a really key drop pass, and the fumble that they recovered, and then one time had to settle for a field goal, maybe some play calls that were questionable.
Right.
And then still lose it. So I don't think it'd be hard to look, and you could look at Notre Dame, for instance. They play a game against A&M earlier this year, and people are coming around and say, "Hey, look, the way Notre Dame played, look how good they are." And then the next week they lose to Northern Illinois,
right.
And then how bad they are. And the next week, I know Purdue's not bad, not good, but then the next week completely annihilate them.
Right.
So you can find examples like that all over college football.
So, by the way, I've been Calvin before. I think most of us have been that type of fan before. Do you think a lot, and I'll tell you why I think I do it, and I think it's stupid, but not Calvin's thinking, but I think sometimes fans do that so they prepare themselves for being hurt. It doesn't hurt as much, right? Well, like all right, well, if I already tell the world that we're going to lose this game and I see nothing when we lose, I was smarter than everybody else, and it doesn't hurt as much.
Well, I think in some instances that's true, and I think in some instances you build things up to make yourself feel better about the game than maybe it should be. And what you read from me from Calvin, I think it's just a legitimate talking point.
Yeah.
Why would I think they're going to do well when they haven't in the last 3.5 quarters? I mean, yeah, they beat. All right, the last 2.5 games and a half. So, but again, that completely dismisses what they've been like at home when they had to be.
Yep. OB, I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, well,
thank you.
That's what E. King would have done.
Yeah. 12th man OB. Appreciate you, sir. We'll hit a break
I should
here.
Stand.
Just stand the whole time,
I'll
buddy.
stand ready the whole show.
Can you stand for this live read?
For what?
This live read?
Heck yeah, I can stand for it.
All right. Lewis Engineering. If you tell me the name of Lewis's Engineering, the guy who runs it right now, I'd be very impressed.
Lewis.
Engineering. That's correct. Lewis Engineering. Doug Lewis, class of 2004, fourth generation to own and operate Lewis Engineering. His great-grandfather started it in the 60s. Awesome. And they're a machine shop located in Marshall, Texas. They want to be your premier metal fabrication supplier. They supply the Defense Department, aerospace, automotive, oil field industries with quality metal components. A few of their other services include CNC machining, stamping, assembly welding. They specialize in high-volume production as well as close-to-tolerance projects. They invite you to outsource machining to a company that many Fortune 500 companies have trusted for the last 63 years. Call Doug Lewis up, 903-938-6754, 903-938-6754, or visit them at lewisengineeringco.com. As a reminder to the final segment of the program brought to you by Double Dave's, that's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984. They have your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. It's TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy Liucci is in studio with us, but we're going to go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. We're talking to SEC Michael Bratton here. Michael, good morning, and hope you had a great Thanksgiving, bud.
Good. Sorry I'm late. Just trying to be more like Billy. Show up casually late, you know?
You know what's funny, Mike? I'm going to tell this is a true story, and you'll get it, and Nuño will laugh, and everyone listening will know. I was late, and I was so late that I was about to call and say, Nuño, would it be better for me to be on phone like the three of us, or will that clunk it up? And should we, will that clunk it up? And should you just do it since I just talked to Mike yesterday or the day before, I guess the day before on their show. So I was going to shoot him a text, and then I turn the radio on and I see Olin's in here filling in. So he got Olin to replace me. And then I'm like, well, I guess they're interviewing Mike. And then I see they're not. And they're like, yeah, we didn't hear from Mike. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that, and now here we are. So you played it perfectly, my friend. Brilliant by you.
Yeah, it was all part of the plan, trust me.
So, Mike, why A&M? Why does A&M win this weekend? And I'm going to go back to a comment that someone texted in the show earlier, like they haven't shown any reason to believe that they would win this game over the last month of the season. Why would you pick A&M to win?
Well, first of all, I am picking A&M to win, and it's got a lot to do with that 12th man there at Kyle Field. I mean, I think that could be the difference in the football game. I know Texas played at Michigan, but that was I can't remember if it was noon local or 11 a.m. local, but I mean, it was an early game. That Michigan is notorious for, I know they have a large capacity crowd, but no one respects that as a home field advantage. I don't think Texas has seen anything like this. I think Texas can afford to lose this game, and they'll be perfectly fine for the college football playoff. We all know A&M has to win it, and even if by winning this, they're probably not a lock or may not even make the college football playoff. They got to win in Atlanta if they're able to win on Saturday. So, it just seems like this year it doesn't matter. I would agree on if you're just looking at these teams on paper. I think Texas is a better team, but I can think of about a dozen games where on paper the better team didn't win because of they're on the road, because it's a night game. And this has just been just a wild, insane year, and it seems like the team with the most motivation keeps finding ways to get a win. So I'm not sitting here saying A&M's going to blow Texas out, but I think it'll be probably a 3 to 7 point victory for A&M.
I mean, Mike, I don't disagree with anything you said, and I think the one thing that Texas will have going for them coming in here is besides the fact that they're a really good team, I can't imagine they're not one of the 5 best teams in college football if you just watch them. I've said it many times, Mike, I don't think this is a dominant, unbeatable national title contender. I don't think there actually is one of those out there this year like we were so used to seeing out of this Southeastern Conference, right? But I think they'll be probably every bit as motivated as A&M because of the rivalry, so I don't think you're going to catch much, if any, of an advantage there because it's been that 13 years and because of how big this is and because of the state bragging rights, the spotlight. Where I do think you catch the advantage if you're A&M, and you alluded to it, that we've seen so many teams do throughout the year in the SEC, and it's that home field advantage at night doesn't even have to be a rivalry game, but especially when it is a rivalry game. These two teams, I hope, hate each other. If one of them does not, maybe they haven't grown to just hate each other on the field yet. But if either team has an advantage there, I'd be really disappointed in the other one because this should be an absolute war. If there's something A&M has to do, Mike, in this game, if I had to say, just tell me one or two things that for your prediction to come true and for Texas A&M to advance to Atlanta for the first time, what has to happen? What are we talking about on Sunday that went right for the Aggies?
I think they've really got to get pressure on Quinn Ewers because I respect him as a passer. I think he's very good, but just like any good quarterback, if you're getting to him, then it affects so many things. It affects their confidence. It affects their accuracy. It affects the rhythm that they're getting in the passing attack. And that's why these home games at night are such an advantage, particularly for these defensive linemen. I mean, I think the best example in just recently was Georgia going on the road to Oxford, which I would say is probably like the 13th best home field advantage in the SEC.
Yeah.
And their Georgia's offensive line got whipped.
Smothered,
because of how loud it was. Now, and then they turned right around against Tennessee at home. Tennessee didn't touch Carson Beck, so, I mean, that's going to be paramount. A&M has got to get after Quinn, got to affect him, cannot let him get into a rhythm. I think if this is a high-scoring football game, I think that favors Texas because I don't know about you, but quite frankly, I was stunned that A&M came back last week down 21-0 on the road. So, maybe I'm discrediting A&M's offense a little bit, but it just seems like they're lacking the weapons to keep up with Texas if this game gets into the 30s. And so A&M's really got to run the ball. I think that'll be paramount too, just to limit the possessions of Texas. And quite frankly, I think their defense is probably the best unit. I know Sark and Quinn, and they get all the attention, but I think it's Texas defense that is probably the best unit in this football game. A&M's got to have success against them, even if it may take short fields, may take a turnover, may take a special teams, but you got to get into the high 20s probably to win this football game.
Mike, if I were to tell you that Marcel Reed plays better than Quinn Ewers, does that ensure an A&M victory?
Well, I would ask, how soon did they put Arch in? Because I'm hearing a lot of Arch talk. They may put Arch in because, again, Texas doesn't even really necessarily need this game, but no, I'm kidding. But that would go certainly a long way. And I think Marcel Reed he's probably the most underrated quarterback now in the SEC because, man, he has been a game breaker. I don't think many respect him for his passing ability. I think everybody respects him for his running ability, obviously, but he is an underrated passer. And if he has a better day than Quinn Ewers, I feel pretty confident about my prediction about A&M winning this game.
Is there, I guess, moving on from this one? Well, let's just play this game and play it out. What would you give the chances of A&M winning in Atlanta and beating Georgia? It's an interesting discussion because, we're going to have it, right? Look, we're playing Texas to go to the SEC title game. I'm not going to be scared to talk about what ifs here. If they beat Texas and they play Georgia, this is not your normal Georgia football team. What would it take for the Aggies? Again, would it take a virtuoso performance from your quarterback? Would it take the A&M defense making life miserable on cards? Because when I look at the game and I hear you talking about Quinn Ewers, I'm like, Mike, for A&M to go 2-0, their defensive line is going to have to kick the crap out of two offensive lines in a row and get after two quarterbacks that, when under pressure, the gap between what they are is, I think, even more substantial than your average QB.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Georgia is certainly not the team of old. I don't even look at Georgia as, in years past, they certainly look like the favorite. And obviously they've won two out of the last three national championships. This is not this Georgia team. The weapons on the outside don't scare you. The running backs, quite frankly, don't scare you. Carson Beck at times. At times he looks amazing. Other times he looks clueless back there. I've never seen a quarterback regress in same system, same team, quite like he has at times this year. So, they would be, I would assume, a 7 to 10 point underdog in Atlanta against Georgia, but it's not inconceivable that they win that football game because I think A&M is a team that's getting better, while Georgia, it's really just two games that really stand out to me, and it was Tennessee a couple weeks ago, and it was at Texas where they looked dominant. And I guess you could say the second half against Clemson, but beyond that, average is too harsh of a word. They don't look average, but they're just not this elite force that I think people look at the logo, they look at Kirby, they say, okay, well, this team, they are a national championship contender. Quite frankly, they've not been that this season.
No, and that was, I guess, kind of my point is it's not just A&M. It's Texas. It's Ole Miss. It was Kentucky. It was Florida. Teams can and have given them problems this year at a level we haven't seen in the past, even in Georgia wins. I will say I do think they have the most impressive win in the SEC this year, going and winning in Austin against that Texas team, but they haven't always looked that way. Speaking of living up to expectations or upsets and things like that, obviously all eyes are going to be on Kyle Field tomorrow night. Where do you have your eye on that you say this could be a game that shakes some things up pretty significantly? Is it Georgia Tech at Georgia Tech, Georgia? Is it the Egg Bowl? Like, where will another contender fall out of the running this weekend, if anywhere?
Well, one game that I'm
Vandy, Tennessee.
So, well, that one for sure. But even higher on the list is South Carolina at Clemson.
Yeah,
because both those teams are still in the running. I believe Clemson is the top team on the bubble, so to speak, just outside the bracket. And then you got Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Texas A&M, all in that grouping. South Carolina, if they win that game, it's not going to assure them anything. They still need some chaos, but man, it'd be hard to keep them out. Again, the committee has their own formula. I get all that, but if South Carolina ends the season with 6 consecutive victories, 3 of which are against top 25 teams, I think they deserve a shot to go to the college football playoff, even with 3 losses. So that's going to be an interesting one. You mentioned Tennessee, Vanderbilt. Tennessee's got to win that to go to the college football playoff. So I'm just expecting the worst there. And how about the Iron Bowl? Even a week ago, I would have said Alabama's going to crush them.
Yeah.
I went on Feinbaum just the other day. I said, hell, if Alabama loses that game, they might as well just fire Kalen DeBoer. Now, I'm not crazy enough to think they will.
Yeah.
He's not going to last much longer than a season or two. I mean, you might as well pull the plug. If he goes 8-4 with this team, loses to Auburn at home, and gives all this momentum to Hugh Freeze going into the offseason, he's a dead man walking down there.
Golly. And meanwhile, Hugh Freeze goes into the offseason beating a ranked A&M team and then beating Alabama. All of a sudden, our little conversation from last week changes. Yeah. Things change real quickly in the SEC these days, don't they? And you look at Mike Elko and the Aggies and the opportunity ahead of them and the difference between, a nice 8-4 first season with a couple of top 10 wins at home versus, and being in the conversation all year, keeping your program in the spotlight. Hey, that's a really nice first season by SEC standards, by A&M standards. If you look at, other than Kevin Sumlin. But man, if you win this game, the difference in the trajectory, the end result might be the same, but man, the chance to get there a lot faster and the different feel of it. If you're looking, let's say Texas A&M, Mike, wins Saturday night, upward trajectory, going through the roof. What is the second program you would look at? Because obviously it's not Alabama. What is the second program you'd look at and say, here's another one in this conference with the trajectory pointing straight up? And it could be a year 1 coach. It could be a year 5 coach. I don't care. Who's your team in that department?
Well, I would certainly, try not to be a homer here, but I think Tennessee's in the conversation because of how strong their NIL is.
Yeah.
And I think Heupel has proven, that he's not. The last 4 or 5 coaches they've had have been kind of idiots. I think he's in a different class. And, quite frankly, Tennessee is like a defensive running program now. If they can just get that offense going with Nico in the years to come, they could be a force. I'm not bought in on Billy Napier, but I love DJ Lagway. I mean, he might be good enough to to overcome his head coach, so to speak. And quite frankly, I think he has been the last couple of weeks. He's there. That's a team to watch. I would have said Ole Miss if they had finished the deal, but buddy, I don't know if Lane Kiffin ever recovers from a 3-loss season with this roster. You know what,
Mike? If you're talking to me about going the other way, that might be one of the earlier programs I'd mention. I'm sure I can think of others. If South Carolina goes and gets this one at Clemson, even that much later into Shane Beamer's tenure with a young quarterback like Sellers, they were one that came to mind. I totally get what you're saying about Tennessee, and I get what you're saying about Florida, because I think Lagway could bring in a lot of guys, especially skill guys, just off of his name and brand, and he's that kind of dude. Like, people are going to want to play with him as their quarterback. We've gotten to know him here through the recruiting process. So, but yeah, I think South Carolina's on there for me, and then in that, I'm telling you, that arrow going down, I just don't see how Ole Miss, unless they somehow get in the playoff and win a couple games, like, I don't see outside of that. I don't see how they get it back, because I don't think he's ever going to have it set up like he did this year. And I think that NIL is really strong down there, but I don't think it's got the staying power of some of these other places to just reach up and go for it like they did this year. I don't know if they'll be able to do that and sustain that year in and year out.
And how could it? How can you ask these people to give all this money if these are the results with the schedule you got, with the path they had, and you come up short? I mean, how many?
Yeah, and with him acting the way he does, I'm sorry, but like, just the entertaining of other jobs, the letting that stuff sit out there, and like those Ole Miss, forget about the fans, the people that are footing the bill. At some point, it's got to get pretty damn insulting and pretty damn tiring. So you always can overcome that when you're winning. When you're not, I look at like John Calipari at Kentucky. Even he wore out his welcome there. It happened. So we'll see.
That was what made that last week so interesting, because it was full circle, because it was that fan base, Florida, I'm talking about, that was calling for Lane Kiffin.
Yeah,
I mean, Paul Feinbaum, he did a show a couple times down in Gainesville. I don't know why they kept sending him to Gainesville this year, but he would send me photos. These people, they're chanting for Lane Kiffin right behind me while I'm doing my show.
Wow.
I mean, they were all in on Kiffin. Yet it was Billy Napier secures his job by beating Lane Kiffin. I mean, I can't imagine how satisfying that must have been for old Billy Napier.
Yeah.
All right, we got to hit a break here. Thanks so much for joining us, Mike. Appreciate your time, buddy.
Absolutely. Hey, horns down.
There we go.
Where did that come from?
I'm wearing it all weekend.
I love it.
Appreciate it, brother.
I wish I had one. See ya.
We can make one.
Oh yeah, we have a team, the warehouse.
Yeah, just call them up. Let's do it. Hey,
by the way, I want the TexAgs hat. I love that maroon and white one. I've been wearing the hell out of it.
I've seen you wear that, yeah.
But I want us to do a black and white one too.
I think we have one.
I haven't seen it. I saw a white and maroon. I have a white and maroon one.
Maybe that's what
I'm not a big white hat guy.
Because it gets green and yellowish from sweat?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I mean, in the 80s.
In the 80s?
In the 90s. I remember I had a badass workout hat that got that way. It was a Gatorade. It was just Gatorade logo. I don't know why I liked it so much. But yeah, no. I don't. Maybe I don't do enough stuff now to get that thing green.
Yeah, that's probably part of it.
I don't see you breaking a massive sweat in the gym either.
Really? No. Which workout are we talking about? We're talking about just when I'm lifting weights, or the cardio portion of my workout, or the post-cardio version of it?
I've never seen the post-cardio, but I've seen both. You're able to sit there and
I'm a sweater.
On.
I'll tell you right now.
You're able to sit there and carry on a 10 to 12 minute, sometimes 28 to 30 minute conversation with me. You must not be like.
Oh, some of us are just conditioned.
Oh, you're like.
Yeah, it's called VO2 max.
Lance Armstrong or Roger Federer.
Yeah.
Who's that guy who had the famously low heart rate? Maybe Joker. One of these tennis guys was famous for, stayed at like science couldn't even describe it.
My resting heart rate, I have the numbers to show you if you want me at the break.
I'm sure you
night,
do.
It's 44.
And I can think of a million things I would like to do during this quick break, and looking, and finding out what your resting.
Would you like to
heart
see
rate is
my
not one of them.
HRV is heart rate variability? I got that as well.
I don't want to see any.
I got
of
it all. I got the numbers from today, in fact.
Absolutely not.
We'll hit or break. Rollo Insurance. They're my insurance. A goal without a plan is just a wish. When the going gets tough, sooner or later, you're going to need your insurance company to take care of you. And Rollo Insurance is the group that takes care of me. RolloInsurance.com/TexAgs. When you want to put things back together, who do you call? A call center? Nah. An automated phone tree. Personal agent's cell phone number is the way to go, and that's what I do. That's why I call Morgan all the time. All options are not created equal at Rollo Insurance Group. They're good at getting you exactly what you need and making sure they take care of you. The website is RolloInsurance.com/TexAgs. Learn more today or call them up 888-44-ROLLO or go to RolloInsurance.com/TexAgs.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
Hi, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. So ESPN 97.5 out of Houston is going to be at the Angry Elephant today, thanks to our friends at Rebecca Creek Distillery. And they're celebrating, obviously, the A&M Texas game and the rivalry. So they're going to be there broadcasting from 3 to 7 at the Angry Elephant in South College Station. Joe George will be hosting that show. I'll stop by for a couple segments. I think in the 3 o'clock hour. Still haven't confirmed with him what time. We're waiting on some work things that have to happen. But I will be there this afternoon. Hopefully we can all hang out, chit-chat a little bit, talk a little Aggie football, and celebrate with the folks there at ESPN 97.5. They are owned by a company that gave me my first radio job in Houston. Not my first job, but my first radio job in Houston with the folks at ESPN Houston, so the GAO Group. So that's John Granado and Lance's company over there. So I'll be hanging out with Joe George, 3 o'clock at the Angry Elephant. All right, Billy.
Yeah.
I started on the show with this, and it's a weird. I'm an emotional Aggie. I think a lot of us are, right? Like I'm up, down, left, right, up, BA, select, start. I'm a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
But I have a calm, and I don't know if optimism is the right word. It might be. I just feel good about this game. I feel like A&M at home is a different animal. SEC games at night is a different animal. They've seen the highlights. They've heard the talk about how they've played. They've talked. The defensive line knows that they need to bring it. Marcel Reed can be a difference maker.
Mm-hmm.
An elite Marcel Reed can change an outcome of an entire game. And for that reason, I feel kind of good heading into this game, better than I usually feel after losing 2 SEC games in a row.
Yeah, I mean, for all the times A&M's lost back-to-back SEC games on the road, ranked, and presumably cost themselves a chance at an SEC title, and are playing at home against the number 3 ranked team in the country that just so happens to be Texas. For all those times, I do feel better than I normally do.
I don't think that has happened.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, like,
you're right. Like,
I feel good.
Normally when the team's going to lose a couple games in a row in league play, it's kind of it kind of deflates everything, and it kind of saps, it kind of derails whatever goals you have, because there's usually an Alabama or in more recent seasons a Georgia sitting there that for everybody, you drop a couple in a row. I don't care if they're on the road at night at 11 a.m., 2:30, whatever. Losing a couple in a row kind of ends your hopes. That's not the case this year. You are getting, again, and you're getting a top-tier SEC team in here, as much as we hate to hear that for this year. They're coming in as a top-tier team. I do still think largely untested, and that's part of that, my friend, is part of your hope.
Yeah.
Is you do know that Texas is not 2016 or 15 or whatever Alabama. They're not the last couple of years of Georgia. They're not 2019 LSU. I know they're not 2005 Texas. And you combine that with the schedule and what's been asked of them, which they get credit now because they get credit for passing all those tests, whereas others couldn't. If everyone else would have passed the test, and Texas fans don't realize this changes every week. So as these teams started failing the similar tests that you pass, or even if it's night, day, whatever, they started losing to the teams that you beat, or everyone else started showing, hey, they'll stumble against lesser teams, and they didn't, you get credit for that.
Yep.
So, but it doesn't change the fact that you faced one truly daunting task, and you lost. And you lost by 2 scores at home. So this is the second biggest test they will have faced this year. It might be the biggest when you realize what Georgia is versus what A&M is like. And I don't mean just A&M. I mean 7 other teams in the league where the gap isn't what it used to be. And if you're Texas, you were playing at home in front of 100,000 versus the road in front of 100,000. That's a massive swing. Not to mention how Aggies feel about the Longhorns after 13 years and up. This is going to be as intense and crazy an environment they're going to come in. And if they win, then they earn it and they deserve it. If they go beat Georgia, in my opinion, they deserve a 1 seed. They won't get it. It'll stay Oregon if they beat Ohio State. But those are a couple big ifs. And this one is a really big if, and I think it might be the biggest if they've dealt with this year. But That's if Texas A&M plays. I heard you say a month, and I know but timeline wise, it's a month.
2 games.
It's 2 games. It's not New Mexico State. That was a scrimmage. It was practice, and it certainly wasn't LSU. It's been 2 games, but they've been spread out, which I think makes it tougher to sustain that, like get into any rhythm and momentum. So the last 2 games, that is not even going to come close to cutting it. Missouri cuts it. LSU cuts it, and I don't care about half and half and what you do. It's a 60-minute game. Missouri and LSU certainly cut it. That team playing in that environment will give Texas all they want. They'll have a chance to win. The last 2 weeks we've seen, no chance. And how much of that has to do with Le'Veon Moss, we'll see as A&M tries to establish a running game. But the rest of it is missed tackles. It's teams going over the top. It's busting coverage. It's the D-line not doing what you thought they'd do. Those things have been going on, whether or not you did have Le'Veon.
All right, we got to hit a break here. When we
Big news.
Yeah, can we talk about the big news on the other side?
Absolutely, recruiting.
Right. A&M gets a quarterback to commit. We'll talk about that storyline that started, I think, a little bit last week. Right now, Milliken Reserve, farm-to-table community in College Station, they have homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. They're dedicated to the conservation of a beautiful, healthy community, respect for the native landscape, and, of course, wildlife. They have 2,600 acres of open space, and they've got 30 miles of trails and homes that connect families to nature and to each other with an extensive network of trails throughout a wooded landscape that includes walking and equestrian paths, creeks and ponds, and gathering areas committed to maintaining and restoring that natural habitat. Go there for hiking, biking, canoeing. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. Check it out, millikenreserve.com. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner Schuler's Rollo Insurance Studio. 2025 Cocoa Florida quarterback Brady Hart commits to Texas A&M. If I got my story right, he was a 26 that was going to reclassify. Is that right? And the one who was supposed to go to Michigan.
Yeah. So that, I mean, I don't even know how to. You cannot overstate the importance of this one. This is a guy that they were familiar with. They've had on campus. It wasn't just an out of the blue thing, but he was a 26 guy, and they went and they got their guy at 26 in Kasuga, and he made his pick for 26 with Michigan, and then the dynamic changed significantly. You know, this is one of the top QBs in the country in the 26 class. He went with the defending national champs. You went and got Kasuga out of Utah. Both sides were very happy. And then Brady Hart starts considering reclassifying, which makes things really interesting. And with where Michigan was at quarterback, when he started thinking about that, it made perfect sense for Michigan. They didn't have a quarterback, and he was going to have an opportunity to go in there and compete early and kind of become the QB of that class, right? Well, then Michigan goes and they pay a cajillion dollars for Underwood and rip him from LSU. So not only, I think, does that change the 26, what you look like, what you're looking at Michigan like as a 26 guy, because that's their DJ Lagway. Right. They went and took him, and that's their future. That's their Arch Manning. And so it changes the way he looks. And then there's A&M. A&M loses Huson Longstreet, and they go and, hey, we got word that you might, and things start rolling in the right direction, and here we are. And that's a massive get. And I want to talk about it a little more out of the break because I don't want to give it just a minute. Yep. So we'll come back.
We'll come back. We'll welcome the McKinney brothers.
But it's a big time. It's a big time.
Huge storyline.
They needed it. You needed a top-notch high school quarterback in the worst way, and they went out and got one that I think can be he can be a program guy. He can be a guy that is your starter for multiple years in the SEC.
All right, we'll hit a break. Much more of that on the other side. The McKinney brothers will join us. It's TexAgs Live. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Bird Dog, an Aggie-owned and operated company creating access to hunting companies. They're an Airbnb for hunting. Streamlined booking process, making it booking your hunts more transparent and easy. They make it also easy for the landowners to get more hunters and make more money on their ranches. They provide a full-service hunting experience. They're fantastic. They can add elements to your hunt and make it fun. At the one that I went to a couple of weeks back, Roger Krager performed. It was a great time, personal chef. They've partnered with over 60-plus ranches and growing that support daily. Check out the website, birddogit.com. It is birddogit.com. It is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and the McKinney brothers are with us, Steve and Seth McKinney, here in the studio. And Billy was going to finish some thoughts on the Brady Hart.
Great. Here we go.
Here
Billy
we go.
just lead us off with more thoughts, continuation.
Come
Let's
on,
go.
Billy,
Let's hear
tell
it.
us how great he is.
What do you guys? Would you rather A&M not sign a quarterback or sign someone that's
I
no
want
good?
to talk about that.
Don't get me started.
What would you prefer on this one?
Tell us about him then.
No, just to go out and get one of the top guys in the country. On this short of notice, when Longstreet he really did leave A&M high and dry. And then what Michigan did, and I don't know any Brady Hart or his family or camp enough to know like how much they were affected by like the Bryce Underwood thing, but just common sense would say as a quarterback going into a program, it has a big effect. But also just you have to imagine Michigan was so entirely committed to him with no QB committed in 25 that so much of that was going to him. I'm sure that the process of reclassifying, that doesn't happen overnight. You guys have kids, you can't just snap your fingers and all of a sudden you're going to graduate high school a year early.
You got to plan that.
So I'm sure that had to do with Michigan's quarterback situation, and then boom, Portnoy gets rolled in. Somebody told me to thank you. Was it you or Seth that came up with Walmart Day Portnoy? They said that was brilliant. I mean, I'll take it. I mean, you can combine Portnoy's money and the Waltons. I mean, just throw me like some crumbs. But for them to do that, I'm sure it shook up everything. And A&M sitting here going, we really need a high school quarterback signee in 25.
Dimes, I like it.
And we are shut out. And all of a sudden for this to kind of open up and fall in A&M's lap, and I think A&M is a great situation for Brady Hart. And it wasn't like they hadn't recruited him. There was familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
To add him in 25 and then have Kasuga in 26, man, you got to really like what Colin Klein's got lined up, and seemingly kind of out of nowhere, because this was not expected. And he wasn't
really on the radar.
No, because he was unavailable. And he was certainly unavailable not only in 25, but also, period, being committed to Michigan. So,
and the beautiful thing
huge.
It seems is that that if he's coming in reclassifying and coming in this early, he's has to be patient. There's got to be zero impatience on his side to touch the field.
Got to be, because he's not coming into a situation where he's gonna be expected or needed to play early. So he's gonna have time to develop.
But he is coming into. You say that, and I agree with definitely Marcel, and you've got Miles O'Neill in there going into your. But that's it. I mean, Connor can come back, but. We watch enough college football, and we've seen how this season's gone. The reality is you're probably going boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yes, you're not walking in to start day one, but, man, you look at the situation, and there's not a heavy amount of numbers in that quarterback room, to the point that I'm not sure A&M doesn't need to. In fact, I would say, in my opinion, A&M should go out and add one more in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
If Connor were to move on,
I don't think you can have enough at that position.
Can you go into a season with three quarterbacks?
No, I think you have to have,
and the other one that's played one quarter of football.
No, I think you have to have that many quarterbacks to work it to flush its way out. We've seen our quarterbacks get injured throughout the year.
Quality practice, even right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're always going with 4 groups out of practice.
So it definitely, I think that. The more the merrier in that regard, at least 4.
Well,
sure.
and to go and get someone like that, and he can really sling it. Guys, go watch his tape. Watch that dude throw the football.
So, he's a good quarterback.
Nice.
Yeah. They were also recruiting my boy, Eli Morcos, out of Lake Creek.
Mm-hmm.
which I think he's a hell of a player.
He's still coming this weekend, so don't go crawling into your tank just yet. Like I said, I do think whether it's high school, whether it's like, I don't know how you can really get somebody in the portal unless it's just a guy like, I'm thinking of like a
Yale transfer style.
Yeah, like like that, or going back even before the portal when A&M signed like somebody like Jake Hubenek, like somebody like that, like, or Jalen Henderson was an addition like that, where it was kind of like, wait, how does this fit into work in terms of starting? But and he ended up starting a few games, but so don't go in the tank because your son played with him.
Well, I mean, he's a hell of a player, man.
Yeah.
He's a good.
If he ends up being an Aggie, we'll get a full report from you, and I'd expect it to be a little better than what we get from Broninger, since he didn't mention a guy's name until a week ago, and now he's the foremost Morcos.
It was surprised how much that kid went under the radar.
Yeah,
and I think it was just because he didn't have enough. He only started his junior year, but I mean, he should have way more offers than he has.
He definitely looked a lot better. To me, the tape from this year versus last year.
He made a big step up this year, and he should have better offers than what he's got.
Yeah,
is all I'm saying.
All right, guys.
Seth, you got any Drew Brees waiting in the wings for us?
No, I wish.
For those that don't know, like that's the ultimate
under the
kind of late in signing class. Seth and y'all's mom, Luann, were really pushing for A&M to take this guy named Drew Brees from Austin Westlake, who's coming off, he didn't play junior year, right, or because of an ACL, or did he?
No, we went. So we were in the fourth round and
tore at the end.
He tore in that fourth round, and we lose the fifth round to the eventual state champions, and then we win the next year.
Yeah, with Drew. So he had come off the ACL. Aggies and Longhorns couldn't make up their mind there.
Nobody recruited him.
And we got Matt Shovel. And we got Matt Shovel.
Old Matt Shovel.
Who's now at TCU and sending family members there. And, that's him.
See how it goes with you,
And
Matt.
we got Joel Bryan, who we're very grateful for here at College Station.
How we feeling, guys? I mean,
I feel as good as it's ever been, baby.
Really?
I'm so excited, man.
Good.
I cannot wait.
I don't even know my brain can't truly comprehend the atmosphere Saturday night, dude. I mean, you think about the Alabama game, the LSU games that we've been to here, the atmosphere at those games, and in my mind, I'm trying to think like, how could it get better than that?
It just will. It just will, dude. Like,
and it probably will.
I've told my kids, I was like, take that Alabama game, take that LSU game, and just multiply it by 2, because I guarantee you've not seen anything like you're going to see this Saturday night. It's going to be insane environment, and I'm hopeful that we can live up to the environment, because the environment is going to be there.
Yeah,
it's going to be the greatest environment that I think any fan has ever stepped foot in
for sure
on the planet of Earth, outside of some crazy foreign soccer game or something. But this is going to be literally insane, and I cannot wait for it.
I'm with you. I'm with both of y'all. My thing is, as you sit there and talk, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be there. The 12th man's going to show up. It's going to be insane. Now, what we need to see is the A&M team needs to set it off. Like it's not going to be a powder keg. It's going to be completely unhinged, regardless. But if you want to beat Texas, carry that atmosphere into later in the night when the temperatures drop, and you're in the fourth quarter of a ball game, or you're in the fourth quarter with a lead, or you're in threatening to take whatever. Make that game matter in the fourth quarter, and we will have never seen anything like it. Like you said,
no
Seth,
doubt.
I don't think the people around the country watching will have seen anything like it. It would be. I mean, look, you're talking about like some of those epic Alabama LSU battles before LSU came back
like
down
9-6. Those
times.
like
just that level of intensity and. Just like the whole country would be hanging on this thing. You have a chance to have the entire country, not just the 110,000.
Just give us a 3 and out. 3 and out to start the game with the defense out
That's
there.
all you're asking.
Well, Seth, the biggest thing that these players have to be ready for in this game is that controlling that emotion.
Yeah.
Because it is going to be a high emotional game in the beginning. But in professional football, you learn to execute and focus on your fundamentals, your plays, your technique. you block out some of that emotion.
Yeah.
So if this team can do that, especially early on in the game, and let Texas be the one to kind of lose themselves with all the noise and the atmosphere, if you focus in on what you got to do, beating your man across from you every single play, block out the rest of the noise, that's how we're going to beat these guys, because we saw way too many mistakes, especially on defense last week against Auburn. Guys not being where they're supposed to be, out of position, not getting lined up quick enough before the snap. That's the kind of stuff we can't afford to have Saturday night.
Right, and we've spotted the last two SEC opponents 17.5 points a game.
It's crazy.
We got to stop. I mean, like, that goes without saying that has to end, and we cannot do that, because I don't think you're even in a game with Texas if you do that, right?
Yeah.
You can do that against South Carolina and get back, and you can do that against Auburn and get back, but I don't think you can do that against Texas and get back to that. So you have got to go out there from the first snap and be executing.
And Texas is a team that comes out on a script, and Sark's going to have some plays dialed up.
Yeah. You have to kill that drive.
You have to kill that first drive. He's going to have some plays dialed up that he knows are going to work.
You could have killed.
And we got to kill it.
You could have, South Carolina coming off a bye week, you could have killed that drive on play 2.
Mm-hmm.
It was an 11-play touchdown drive. Could have killed it on play 2. Auburn, Hugh Freeze in that script early was, hey, let's take deep shots. You were unable to get pressure on them early on those throws down the field. You had to kill it before it could get going, because those are always, that's the danger zone.
Mm-hmm.
You said it, Seth. You can't fall behind by much to these guys. They're a momentum. It's a momentum quarterback. It's a momentum play caller. It's a momentum offense. When they get going and they go tempo and they tire you out and they make you uncomfortable and uncertain of run, pass, and all the motion, and you start biting and they go over the top, or you sit back and they scream. Like, it's you have to, like you said, you can't play from behind. And on top of that, this is a really damn good defense. And I said it from day one in the season. I said Notre Dame might be the best defense A&M plays this year. And I said I'm TBD on Texas. And as the season's gone on, they have not played, I don't think they've played one like true quality offense all year. I don't know what offense we're going to see from A&M, because there's been times of late where they've actually looked really good, and then there's been times where they've either been shut down or shot themselves in the foot. But I know the Texas defense is I was questioning if they were truly elite. I think they're as good as any in the country. I mean, again, I go back. It's not the Nick Saban, Bama, or those LSU defenses or Georgia's. But in this year in college football, I don't think there's anybody that you can raise your hand and go, they're definitely better.
Yeah, but I feel
so you can't fall behind.
Right, and I feel good about what I've seen out of Marcel Reed week after week after week as he's been playing, as he's getting better, man.
Yeah.
And I think not only like him, but you're going to have Basantis back. And so, I mean, I think that's going to be huge to solidifying our offensive line and getting them going, and they're going to have to get going. We got to get our running game going.
Running game has to.
Yeah, we have to.
Yes, it does.
There's no occasion that we can just be some 3-and-out offense that makes sense. We have to be able to sustain drives and then make a play every now and then.
Nuño?
Yes, sir.
Do you have to go to a break?
We have 5 minutes.
What?
4 to 5 minutes.
Wait. So
You got 5 minutes, dude. It's like all
that's
day.
never happened.
Let me explain to you the
That
why.
means we haven't blown past a break.
That's exactly why.
Or have we blown past
We blew
one
past. We
another
blew past the SEC Mike one, which put us back 5 minutes in the other one, and that I tried to break it as quickly as I could. That gave us a 3-minute segment. Technically, we have 2 minutes, but I like to go longer to upset Louis. So we can go a little longer.
Billy's trying to be Efferblas or
Not
whatever
too
that
much
guy's.
longer.
Eberflus?
Eberflus.
You want me to hit a break?
I don't know that guy's name.
How I even knew what he was talking about.
Freaking Bears.
That was the dumbest crap
That
I've
was
ever
the
seen.
worst
Thank
28
goodness.
seconds of football
'Cause they were gonna beat the
I've
Lions.
seen in my life, but let's talk about Texas.
No.
Anyway.
They were going to beat the Lions, and that was insane.
That was horrible. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Do you know what we're talking about? Because you,
Of course. Yeah.
As I've gone back to look at it, though, Billy,
I was, but I know.
at first I blamed the head coach entirely. Now I'm putting like 40% of it on Caleb
Okay,
Williams.
well, it was both.
That was a long, drawn-out play
Yeah.
and changing the call and all that crap, man.
But at some point, as a coach with half a brain, you're like, this is taking too long.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was
my
definitely
goodness.
but once you pass that like 15-second mark, it's kind of like you're in no man's land there. It's like it's on your quarterback at that point. You know?
Anyways,
it was
brutal.
What a nightmare! What a
God, that's
disaster!
bad.
Luckily,
I'm glad it happened.
Luckily, on Prize Picks, I had Jared Goff for under the number of yards, and it had the Lions
less
than.
That's
Less than. Had they gotten it back, he would have gone. It was real close. He would have gone past it and cost me my.
So you made some money.
So I got a double win.
There we go. Boom.
I got that, and we got a W for Dan, and they're now 11-1. I got something for you guys.
Well, that took 2 minutes to get there, so now we're late.
All right, this is a tease now.
Okay.
We're going to read it.
We're going to
and then
blow
talk
past
about
that break if we
From
kill
Horns
ourselves
to,
to
from
do it.
Horns 247. And again, I don't know who wrote this for Horns 247. I don't know the reliability of it, but they are a primary source for Longhorn News. One source close to the situation said Ewer's ankle sprain wasn't progressing as quickly as actually hoped. The source said there's absolutely still time for the ankle to respond to treatment before Saturday. Monday's practice was more of a walkthrough as Texas put in the game plan for Texas A&M, so not much was required physically of Ewers. Tuesday and Wednesday were more physical practices, and Ewer's ankle was, quote, was in a stiff brace. Quinn took the first snaps with the first team offense, but he was definitely limited, the source said. Ewers has been getting daily treatment on his ankle, which will continue on Thanksgiving Day and Friday. The hope is that the injury will improve by Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tease. Sorry.
It's a tease. It's definitely a topic we will tackle.
Can we legally do that? Just read the entire article?
It's posted on. Yeah, of course you can. It's posted
I'm
on
kidding.
Twitter, and I credited who wrote it.
You want me to read some TexAgs posts while we're at it?
I credited Horns 247.
I got a Trump post.
They read
I got a
TexAgs
Trump
on here every
post
day.
Oh,
Can we go
man.
get some quesadillas at Costa Vida soon? Really, please?
Sure.
All right, thank
Tell
you.
me when,
All right,
boss.
Next week. Yeah. That's what's. Oh, you're the one with the cup, though. All right, Costa Vida, South College Station. Fresh Mex done the exact way you want to have it done. They are so good when you go there. You're going to love the customer service, the great food, the fresh scratch made, where you can taste the difference in every ingredient. It does matter. Choose your entree, burrito, your salad, your enchiladas, your tacos, your quesadillas, your baja bowls. You can choose your protein, sweet pork, raspberry, chipotle chicken, shrimp, grilled chicken, steak and cheese, and veggies. And, of course, you can go there at South College Station, but you can go to Cal Field and get it as well. Such good food. Chips and queso, shrimp taco, mango salsa. Check it out. Say hi to Holly when you go out there. They can take care of your catering events as well. It is easy to find. They're in South College Station. The address is 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. Aggie owned and operated. It's Costa Vida. And we're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, so we just talked about it a moment ago. Quinn Ewers, not completely back to where they thought he would be, at least at this point. Still time to progress. It's a storyline in the game. I struggle with storylines now, though, guys.
Is it the storyline?
No, it's a storyline.
Oh, it's definitely a storyline, but
they're building excuses already.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
They're either building an excuse to lose the game with him or to replace him with
Archie.
I don't really care how they lose the game, okay? They just got to lose this game, man. They just got to lose this game.
You mean you don't care about beating them at full strength?
I don't care at all. In fact, I hope they're not at full strength. But regardless, it doesn't matter. Like, our defense last week, to me, it was like, I was just like, at some point you realized that we had to blitz these guys, and we weren't doing anything with only four guys rushing the passer.
Which is weird.
Unfortunately, it is what it is, it seems, and we have got to blitz Texas. And we have to, because we don't have it on the back end, and we have to get
that's the danger,
Seth,
is that if you blitz, you almost have to do it with the linebackers, because the second you start bringing safeties and stuff
I'm
like that.
not necessarily saying all
and
that.
you get into those man-to-man coverages, man, you really put yourself at risk, because our DBs are, they've played admirably at times, but this is the best wide receiver core that we've gone up to.
No, and I fully admit that.
You know?
I fully admit that. But Cam Coleman's no slouch.
He's not.
But we didn't have a Ewers back there. But you got to get Ewers off his mark.
Oh,
and Archie, I mean, that's a different story.
I
mean, he's whatever. But in fact, I mean, like, I don't know why they don't just play him. But anyways.
But I mean, for every game this year, and we've talked about how good our defensive line is. For them to be able to get pressure with four people is never been more important than this game.
Paramount.
I mean, and I know, Seth and I have talked about it, and, he's saying that, we haven't gotten much pressure with just four. And I don't disagree. I mean, there's times where we're just not getting much pressure, but
we just haven't done it.
This is the game, guys.
This is the one.
It's like freaking step
And
up
also, you're talking about making money.
and get back into that backfield. Even if you don't get your sack, you got to make him move. You got to push him out of the pocket. Right. You got to make him feel pressure to take his eyes off the receivers for just a split second. That has to happen, especially on third down.
And you've also got, like, NFL draft status out there. You've got Banks versus Scorton, and that should be a huge matchup. And Williams is also very good.
It's a prove-it game.
So, it is.
You want to be a first-rounder?
There's no more questioning or anything about it, man. You go out there and you prove it against guys who are thought to be high draft picks and make your money.
Gotta get that money, man.
Gotta get money.
Agreed 100%. And I said that about the LSU game. And guess what they did? They
And he
went
did
out
it.
and they did it.
He
Both
did
of
it,
them.
yeah, against Campbell.
Him and Shamar Stewart and the whole D-line did it.
And they'll probably do it again this game, man. That crowd is going to be so loud if they get into a third and long. That is a big advantage for your defensive ends.
And speaking of third and long, what we didn't do against Auburn was get in second and long, ever, dude.
Yeah.
Ever. It seemed to be they just hand the ball off to and I don't want to go too far back to Hunter and just get 5 yards, and they were second 5 the whole game, and that just makes things impossible.
Got to be better on first down. I agree.
And Texas is not a great running offense, but they've got backs that if they get going, where those backs are so good, Wisner, is it Wisner? I liked him out of Waco. Waco, then he went up to DeSoto. Was it DeSoto or Duncan? It was Duncanville, I think. But he went up. It was DeSoto. It was DeSoto. But anyway, he was, I think, out of Waco originally. And I really liked him as a back, and A&M tried to get in there on him late, and they couldn't. And then Jaden Blue is another guy. Look, there was a couple times in Jaden Blue's career at Texas where I don't know how much they talk about it there in Austin, but he was actively looking to bail because they were that is a stacked position there in Austin, or so it was until all these guys got hurt. But if you watch Blue, and look, not to scare tactic you here, but if that guy gets the ball in space, he looks like Devon Achane. He's that fast. And he's smooth like H.
That'll scare you.
He can't to me, and he could for one game, but I mean, over the course of his career, he's not been that down-to-down runner like H. H can run. Okay.
I was going to say any fumbles.
Oh, I thought you were going to say.
Well, not this week, because he's been carrying the ball around school all week. He's been carrying that ball.
Yeah. The program. There is no matter how much he carried that ball around this week, there's got to be a lack of 100% trust and confidence on the part of his position and head coach.
Didn't they have 6 against Kentucky?
They did. It was
They had
sloppy.
6 fumbles?
Yeah, they didn't lose them. I think they lost 2 of the 6.
It was sloppy. But if you let those guys get the ball in space on the perimeter, where I don't think A&M has been nearly as strong, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And those are going to be – that's where the bulk of Texas' passing yardage is going to come from until it doesn't, and then they're going over your head. So there's a bad combination where we saw Auburn and freaking – I always forget – I actually always forget his name. That's how unimpressed I've been with the guy for 2 years, and he goes and throws for 300. When Auburn's quarterback, Peyton Thorne, can go over your head for that amount of yards, and then you're about to play Texas. And then not to mention...
But you'll notice he never did it when he was pressured. At least I don't remember one time where when he was pressured, he made any pass of note.
Yeah, and Quinn is very inaccurate down the field when pressured, and really in general. But if you let him get into a rhythm with this stuff, you guys will be wide open where he still sometimes misses.
Well, it's good to have Will Lee back. I mean, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, look, a large part of that game, and people crap on, they always are super hard on Jaden Hill, but he's effective as a blitzer. He's effective tackling around the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you don't want him to get locked up one-on-one with the wrong guy. It could be a problem. But to have both of them out certainly affected. I'm surprised A&M played as well as they did in the second half defensively. Did y'all talk about the Ewers thing?
Yes,
we did a little bit. I mean, we were just talking about, we got to get him
off his mark.
I mean, I don't think
I'm talking about the injury.
Yes, we did.
He's never been a threat to beat you with his legs, but him not being confident in that pocket, or if his ankle's bothering him, he doesn't feel like he can run. Quarterbacks have a tendency to take sacks a little bit quicker,
or they make rush. Yeah, there you go. They make rush.
I think
throws.
what it does, David, you think it's gamesmanship. As you said. I don't think so at all, because I don't think. I think what's going to happen is I think what it means is I expect Quinn to start, but I think what it means is if it's a tight game and it's not a pretty offensive game and A&M's playing quality defense,
they'll make it.
I think that guarantees, in my mind, that we're going to see Arch Manning at some point. Well, and you saw that, Seth, in '99 when they went from
Applewhite to Sims.
No, they went from Sims to Applewhite.
Back to That's right. That's right. Yeah.
The reason I struggle with it, Billy, and I may set you off on a tangent here, or it's okay. We have to take a break.
Tangent me up.
Not even a tangent.
That's just an everyday thing.
Tangent's his middle name.
Look, we heard that Peyton Thorne's throwing shoulder was bummed, right?
Yeah.
And I just, these things I hear about
it was because it actually kept him out of action.
But then he threw for 300. Mm-hmm. So, to me, hurt ankle or not, just get after him.
No. It doesn't mean let your guard down.
Right.
I just don't think it's made up. I think you saw the guy limping around, and I know I'm going to say this. I'm not going off on. We can call this a tangent. You can call it what it will. I've seen you gimping around on an ankle for 6 months. When you first got here. Remember that limp?
It wasn't my ankle.
Hamstring.
It was my hamstring.
Some jiu-jitsu or what?
Hey, it's called a gangster league.
This guy was limping for half a year on it.
Some
every time he sees
RDLs or
Are
what?
you limping? Yeah, I do RDLs. But no, jokes aside, these guys know about an ankle sprain. You can finish a game and then all of a sudden you pop up and you ain't playing the next week. Now, I don't think that's what's going to happen with Quinn, but I think he's definitely he's going, even though running's not his game, his mobility is going to be.
So I think
and you have to test that if you're the Aggies.
Yeah, I would test it immediately. But it's is it just a normal sprain or is it high ankle? High ankle is different. If high ankle, that's he's back there, he's kind of in a boot basically. If it's that, and that's really, really impactful.
Does he finish the game on a high ankle sprain?
I don't think he does.
Especially with them with a substantial lead.
I don't think he does. I think that
so it probably wasn't.
He'll get out there, test it.
No, I'm saying.
Oh, in the last
weekend,
game,
does he finish
high ankle's it's like breaking a bone, man. It's
so
my answer, it's a regular ankle.
Answer me on that. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
It was a regular ankle.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with Freak of the Week and Sleeper of the Week. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 and Caldwell online. Call WellCountryChevrolet.com when you're looking for a new vehicle, or you want to look at a pre-owned vehicle, or just need a new look. You go there and you check out the trucks and all the great selection that they have there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They have complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. They've got free oil changes for life on the life of your purchase as long as you own that vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They're a proud supporter of Aggie Athletics, and they want you to know that they are the place to go to buy your next car. Make the short drive to Caldwell to experience a car buying situation like you've never seen before. Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Everyone, David Nuño here in a moment right now for Snaps Clothing. They are the makers of the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snap shirts. I'm wearing it right now. This is part of their Tailgater collection. It's built for game day. My friend Edgar over there is doing great work. You've got to check out the clothing. It's the Pearl Snaps. It's the cool look. It's kind of hip, but also Western. You'll love it, and they have great stuff there. They'll keep you comfortable as you're repping your Aggie gear, and it's the place to go to get it. Whether you're watching the game from home or tailgating before watching the stands, these shirts have you covered. Head to snapsclothing.com. That is snapsclothing.com to gear up for the season. And we are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, ESPN Houston in town to welcome back the A&M Texas rivalry, all made possible by Rebecca Creek Distillery, happening today from 3 to 7 at the Angry Elephant in South College Station. Joe George will be hosting there. I'm going to stop by for a couple segments. We'll see if any other TexAgers come by. Hope to see you there. We'll be chit-chatting. All right, guys, let's do a little Freak of the Week.
It's a Freak of the Week. That was so much better than last week, man. I'm feeling really good.
That makes a difference in the game.
It does.
That may have been our best one yet.
Man, I'm going to go right now with Nick Scorton, man. He has got to step up and put pressure on Ewers, Manning, whoever they're going to throw out there. It's probably going to be Ewers, I'm just saying. But anyways, he's a tremendous athlete, and he needs to show it, and he needs to prove why he's a top 10 NFL draft pick going against the top 10 NFL draft pick and tackle Kelvin Banks. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a huge night for him, and we're going to need him to step up.
We need him to be the very best Nick Scorton we've seen.
Right, for sure.
I mean, I would make it Nick Scorton and Shamar Stewart.
Yeah,
I think both of those ends need to have their best game. I'm going to go with Marcel Reed. I mean, I think he's going to be a big key to us being able to win this football game. If he can continue to throw as well as he has been, we need to use his legs more, in my opinion. I think we need more designed runs. We need more zone read where he has the option to keep it. We got to make that a threat. We got to force them to defend not only vertically, but horizontally the entire field.
And Texas has not been challenged by a quarterback all year, man.
They haven't.
They've got, two guys have thrown for 200 yards, and it was like 203 and 205 or something.
But, I mean,
we just got to challenge him and make it an effective game.
You look at what Marcel's done. I mean, even in the 2 losses, I mean, he's been very effective throwing the ball, moving the offense down the field, getting us out of 3rd and 10s.
Yeah.
And we're getting 1 yard on first down.
Which normally would kill you, right?
Yeah, exactly. But he was very effective in 3rd down and 3rd and long situations. But, yeah, Marcel Reed's my Freak of the Week.
All right. Billy, your Freak of the Week.
Yeah, I thought Marcel, it's me and McGee sat here, and McGee, this is a quarterback coach he is, picked apart all the missed opportunities that Marcel didn't throw the ball to in terms of open receivers in the pass game. And both can be true, because I thought Marcel played a hell of a game the other night. To come back from 21-0 down, to bail you out so many times, and even as McGee said, he made some terrific throws. I think we're just watching the progression of a star in the making at quarterback. And what better way to just cap it off than to have a McGee-like performance against Texas, where Steven was bogged down by the Fran offense for so long. They unleashed him. He threw for 330 in a win over Texas as a junior.
And just ran up the score, huh?
Yeah.
Big high-scoring game.
It was like 38-20. Yeah, it was 38-31, but even it was pretty one-sided. Nice. But I've been so impressed with myself. My Freak of the Week, I'm going to go with, I'm going to go back to one that I've said before. And I think on offense, it's got to be, I think Noah Thomas has to have that kind of game. He just had one. He has to do it again. Like, to beat Texas, your skill guys are going to have to come up big. And for Marcel to have that kind of night, Steve, his guys are going to have to make plays. And Noah Thomas has had a couple really big games in SEC play. He's become more and more consistent. And I think you're going to have to connect with him down the field to help. You've got to attack this Texas defense vertically to get them out of there so you can run the football. So him on offense, defensively, I'm going actually. I saw him give up a touch, I think. You never know coverages and stuff, but last week, I'm going Dalton Brooks. An interception and a sack and a couple tackles for loss for 25.
I like that.
Pride of Shiner, Texas. He probably grew up watching Aggies and Longhorns. I'm going Dalton Brooks on
He would have been pretty young.
I'm in with that.
Tom.
That's good. 13 years.
For the Sleeper of the Week, presented by the Sleep Station, go see Jerry McLeod and ask about the Tempur-Pedic mattress or the Purple mattress in the Specs parking lot at Texas and Harvey, in front of the Lowe's and William D. Fitch, and Highway 6, the website, thesleepstation.com. All right, Steve McKinney, yours.
Just before I get that, I have to comment, because Billy, as he said, Dalton Brooks grew up watching this game, and I was like, he would have been really young. I wonder if the kids on this team really understand the meaning of this game to the fans. I mean, I think they kind of do, but I don't think until you've actually experienced it and lived it and played in this game a couple times can you really appreciate the importance of this?
So like, since you're talking about this, you mentioned it earlier about the emotions as a player. Of all of my games in college, I remember the least about the Texas game playing it than any other game. And I'm like, I just always go back to, it must be just the emotion and hype surrounding the game that I just remember playing it, coming out going, I don't remember anything.
Wow.
I agree, dude.
What was your record against Texas?
I was my redshirt year. I'm counting that. I was 2-3. We got the '99 game, lost in '98, and then in 2000, 2001, we got beat.
And I was 2-2.
You're counting your redshirt year to get to 2-3, or did you
That's
win
right.
your
I'm
redshirt
counting
year?
my redshirt.
So you were
I was on this
1-3.
team.
That was my senior year, Billy. He's counting my senior year.
But wait, so you?
I was on this team. I got a ring for the Big 12 South that we got blown out in.
And then you came in and they won it. Yes, there you go.
Yeah, you're not claiming that one.
Wait, but you were 1-3 against Texas?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, Seth.
Yeah, that sucks.
How many times did you cry as a kid growing up? But they won every year.
Well, so like I can distinctly remember. I remember going to the Texas
growing up
game.
though. A&M owned Texas for y'all, right?
One of my we destroyed Texas, and one of my distinct memories as a kid is going to the Texas game in like 1991 or 2, going to Austin, and the announcer, I distinctly remember he was doing testing 1, 2, and he got like all the way up to 10. But every time they got to like 7 or 8, I can't exactly remember, the crowd would go crazy because that was the Aggie crowd going crazy because that was the number of times we were about to beat them in a row. If we ended up beating, but that was the game we lost.
When Bucky went for 2.
Yes, I didn't talk to my buddy. He was a big Longhorn fan. I didn't talk to him the whole ride home. I was just devastated.
And well, what was your record?
I was 2-2. Won my freshman year and my senior year.
Okay.
So
that senior year game I talked about the other day, that was the lightning storm, and like it was like
I had a helmet full of rain.
So
from
much
just
water.
standing on the
What's funny? I
sideline.
got to tell you this, Billy. So I was. Much like Seth, I kind of completely forgot about all the little intricacies of that game.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember winning it. I remember it rained like 8 inches, but I don't remember any other thing about the game other than we won.
Yeah.
So somebody had sent me a link to all the, I think Seth did, of all the like A&M wins of the past like 30 years. And I remember going back and watching that whole game just to remember it. Do you remember how we sealed the win on that game? Do you remember how we sealed the victory? I bet you don't.
Give me a hint. Give me the name of who was involved. Give me the name of who was involved.
I can't. So
okay.
It's like we're up by.
You made a crackback block.
No.
Okay.
No. We were up like 2 scores.
Okay.
We had the ball. There's still like 5 minutes left to go in the game. 4 minutes left to go. Basically, we get another first down. It was a 3rd down play. We get the first down, the game's over. Like they'll never have enough time. 3rd and like 10, we throw a pass to a little-known tight end at the time named Dan Campbell.
Oh, wow.
And Dan goes, he'd probably caught 2 balls.
He ran a pretty good gain, right?
He'd probably caught 2 balls the whole year. And he caught this ball and went like 25, 30 yards. And I remember I was the first one to him, just jumping all over him. I was like, oh, I don't even remember that.
I love it.
That was so great. I was like, there's old Dan.
Billy, you wanted to keep the show on track.
Yes. Sleeper. I'm going to tell you my sleeper real quick. The offensive line, man, they're having a great night of sleep. I know I'm going opposite of what this means, but they're going to wake up rested and dominate this game, and we're going to need it. So I'm picking the offensive line as my sleeper.
Okay. I like that. Okay. I'm going to go with my sleeper on I'm going to go sleeper on offense. I am going to go with I'm picking between 2 guys. I have a feeling I'm going to go Trey Watson.
Okay.
Sleeper. Right. Couple big catches either a big game by both of them or a couple big catches by 84. And then defensively, I'm going to go, it's not necessarily a sleeper, but I'm going to go with Albert Regis coming up huge on Saturday.
I'm going to go a little different from both of you guys. I'm going to go with an actual coach as my sleeper. I think this is the week you're going to see a Colin Klein offense that we haven't seen all year in entirety. Now, we've seen little pieces of it in games, but I think this is going to be the game that he's saved it all for. He's held nothing back for this game, and they've beaten him as an offensive coordinator, they've played really well against Texas,
Yeah.
at Kansas State, at Texas.
Yeah.
I think he knows how to call against these guys, and I think this is going to be the game that we really see the offense that we were hoping to see.
Sidebar, he dialed up just a phenomenal play on that last play of the game. That was
I actually
I hate
unearthly.
I was reading during the game, and people are getting pissed as we were down 21-0. I kept seeing stuff about Klein. I'm like, man, they moved the ball the whole game.
Yeah.
And that's actually a good SEC defense. It's like above middle of the pack defense. They were like third against the run. Like I thought he dialed up a hell of a game last week.
For sure.
So I mean that's a winning formula right there.
All right.
All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with Pick 6 next on TexAgs Live. All right, we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Prize Picks time. The Pick 6 brought to you by Prize Picks here on the final countdown. Go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to receive a guaranteed $50 once you play in $5 lineups. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. McKinley Polanski.
Yes.
The games.
Yes. Michigan is traveling to number 2 Ohio State. They're playing at 11 a.m. at Ohio Stadium. It will be on Fox, and Ohio State is favored by 20.5 points.
This is
20 and a half.
I mean, come on.
Holy crap.
Not in a game like this.
This is that
Can I
Ohio
give you
State?
This is like, if this happens, I'd be shocked. I'm going to have to go with Michigan can cover this. I know they're not very good, But
First of all, are
that's
those
a blowout,
the rankings that you put out this morning? Are those accurate?
Yes, point of order on that.
No,
Let's get a
sorry.
recount. Let's
Those
get a
are
recount.
accurate. They just put everybody from the same order as last week and just put the record next to
Nuño's
them.
not. He doesn't have the best formula for presenting.
So that was
is
accurate.
true.
I don't write it.
I'm sorry. I just
I don't write it.
Well, your people.
They're your people.
Yeah, get your people. Get your people in order.
So basically, me, Seth, and Billy are all separated by like 2 games. So this week will determine it all.
Okay, so you guys are doing your little dance. Who'd you pick?
It's at Ohio State? Mm-hmm. God dang it. All right, give me Michigan.
There we go. I picked up a game. Ohio State's going to blitz them right out of Dodge.
I agree.
Jim Harbaugh used to do that to Ohio State. They're returning the favor right now. Ohio State's going to rail them. Go ahead, McKinn.
You don't know which way to go with that?
What? You thought I was about to say McKenzie? What is McKinn?
But
McKinley.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I know that. But
Okay.
Number 15, South Carolina, is traveling to number 12, Clemson. They're playing at Memorial Stadium at 11 a.m. on ESPN, and Clemson is favored by 2.5 points.
Not only is South Carolina going to cover, they're going to win this game. So South Carolina.
I'll take Clemson. For no other
what's the
reason
spread?
2.5 points.
that they're at home and their rivals. I'm going with Clemson.
There's too much buzz about South Carolina. They're getting too much love. I'm going Austin Westlake and Cade Klubnik.
The club.
Seth would pick against his high school.
To win. I'm going Clemson. They remember what South Carolina did to them 2 years ago. I think Clemson.
Separation Saturday,
I think Clemson
baby.
gets this one. Actually, I changed my mind. South Carolina to cover and win.
What the?
Boom.
What a
Billy,
flip flop that was.
Ridiculous.
Jeez.
All right. McKinley.
I'm out on an island here.
Number 5, Notre Dame, is traveling to USC. They're playing at 2:30 p.m. at the Coliseum on CBS, and Notre Dame is favored by 7.5 points.
Notre Dame's going to cover this.
I got Notre Dame too.
Same. I like Notre Dame. They've been actually quietly just rolling through people lately. And USC, Dry Fit Riley.
Love to see
Longstreet can sit there and watch Notre Dame just
think he burnt some brisket for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, absolutely. He burnt the turkey. That'd be the driest turkey in the greater Los Angeles area.
Auburn is traveling to number 13, Alabama. They're playing at Bryant-Denny Stadium at 2:30 p.m. on ABC, and Alabama is favored by 11.5 points.
Oof.
I don't think that Auburn is going to be as lucky as they were last week to start out with just a ridiculous lead. And so I'm going to pick Alabama to cover this game.
I'm staying with you, Seth. I'll take Alabama.
I'm going to take Auburn to cover, Alabama to win. I think Alabama's flawed. I think they're greatly flawed.
Number 24, Kansas State, is traveling to number 18, Iowa State. They're playing at Jack Trice Stadium at 6:30 p.m. on Fox. Iowa State is favored by 2.5 points.
What a just no-name type of game we're picking here. I don't even know what to do. I hate both these schools. No offense to my buddy Lance, but just come on. The fact that Iowa State is 18 just hurts my heart. But regardless, I don't know. Where's it at? Jack Tice? I'm gonna pick Iowa State to cover.
Yeah, I guess I'll take Iowa State too. I don't really have a dog in that fight.
Read that to me again.
Exactly.
Iowa State by 2.5.
At Iowa
Kansas State. At Iowa State.
I'm going to go Kansas State to cover on the road, maybe win.
Wow. This is really going to determine the winner.
No ties I don't like Iowa State. I don't like their team.
Won't be any ties.
I don't have anything.
One more.
Last but not least, number 3, Texas, is traveling to number 20, Texas A&M. They're playing at Kyle Field at 6:30 p.m. It will be on ABC, and Texas is favored by 5.5 points.
Who's got the balls to go opposite on this one?
On this, man. I think Texas is walking into a hornet's nest, baby. This is going to be the craziest environment that these guys have ever seen. The A&M players don't know what's coming. The Texas players don't know what's coming because, like you said earlier, they were just too young to have ever seen this environment and never felt the level of hatred that is about to be unleashed on this game. And I think that our guys are going to match the occasion. It's not going to be easy at all, and it's not going to be a gimme. But I think that A&M wins this game, and they're going to cover this. That's just the way that I feel. It's going to be a hard-fought game, and we're going to pull it out in the end and go to the SEC championship game. Boom.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. I'm completely with you on that one, Seth. I don't think there's any chance that Texas rolls in here and beats A&M by 5.5 points. I think A&M will cover. I think they'll win outright. I think that we're going to see the best atmosphere in the history of college football, and I think we're going to storm the field. And Seth will
and I'm okay with that. I will be there.
And you will see a video of
along.
Seth hopping along somewhere on the field because we're going to storm it. If we win, I'll see you guys down at the 50, okay?
Let's party.
I'll be there.
Well, guys.
Uh-oh.
I hate to say it, but
Here it comes.
have I ever picked Texas to beat A&M in football? I don't know because we weren't doing.
I was about to say, that's a tough no.
Do I think Texas has been the better football team this year to date? Yes. Did I think A&M's been the better football team to date heading into the Auburn game? Yes. I think they were the better team to date heading into South Carolina. Yeah. Ole Miss, Florida, Tennessee, Arkansas, Alabama, Vandy, Alabama, OU. This is what Texas has not. Kentucky, Ole Miss. This is what Texas has not had to deal with this year when everyone else has. I think Texas A&M wins a very close game or loses a very close game. I think this is a field goal game. I think it's a dogfight from wire to wire. I think I've seen the bigger gap between these teams where the lesser team has competed down to the wire. Vince Young almost lost here. Colt McCoy almost lost here. We've seen you guys have been a part of some good A&M teams that have either barely won or almost lost. The 98 Big 12 champs lost there. I think this is a close game that could go either way. I like A&M to win it on the strength of the 12th man. And Steve, I'm with you. I think Colin Klein figures out how to get the tough yards and sometimes the big plays against this defense that no one nationally is thinking when they're breaking down this game. They don't see that happening. That's what I think happens. And it's just enough. I don't think it's like an up and down. It's just enough to win. I think a key turnover late in favor of the Aggies swings this. I think the Aggie defense, whether it's a stop to win it, a la 1998, or whether it's a game-turning pick or fumble recovery,
a la 1999.
A la 1999.
But what do you say?
And that's actually what I meant. So
no, both ways then.
We got to end the show here, but I just want you to respond to this.
Okay.
Those games have no bearing on this year's game, Billy, according to somebody else.
I get it.
Oh,
I get
goodness.
what I mean. Which games? All the SEC ones I talked about, because they do. They do. It doesn't mean Texas can't win, but that does have bearing. That shows that the margin and the gap between everyone this year is as slim as it's
I think
ever
he's talking
been.
about history between these two teams.
That's fine. Then shut up about 76 wins versus 30, whatever then. Okay. I'll take that deal. Fine. We just signed off on it. Good. I'm good to know.
Like we never have to
Good to
talk
know.
about.
Never bring it up again.
1925.
That's going to do it.
All right.
We will have the TexAgs tailgate show tomorrow with Richard Zane. I'll be reporting from the field. And thanks so much for watching. We'll catch up with you guys.
See you next year.
Then,
All right.
and then the post-game wrap, and then Luchador, and then TexAgs Live. See you then. Bye.